trying to run audio and video at the same time, which I know may sound a little crazy.
With over 10,000 titles,
I'm hoping this is working. All right, yay! There's a little bit of a delay. It's working. So let me just explain what happened. I know that was a little bit frustrating, and it totally goes with the title of this video message, The Trial of Your Faith. I guess it's my fault because I titled it, Bring It On. So I probably brought that upon myself. Anyways, I can't help but have a sense of humor about these kind of things with everything that's been going on this week. But yes, so YouTube changed everything, and it's in this new mode called beta mode. It's called Beta Studio, and I wasn't prepared for it, and it was just totally a different format. I couldn't find where anything was, and I just would assume that even though everything looked different, it would still be programmed the same, but apparently it now had a new streaming key. So how it works is the program that I use asks for a streaming key that will allow YouTube and my program to talk to each other. So I can stream on my program, but it shows up live on YouTube. So apparently it had a new streaming key, which is a code, and I was not aware of that because I've used the same one every time. I've never had to change it. So in order to figure that out, I found a way to revert it back into the old layout, the old format called Creator Studio, which is what I'm used to. And from there I could click on the streaming key. For some reason I couldn't find a streaming key anywhere in the new layout. So not that you need to know all of that. I know it's not really relevant, but I just had to explain what that was all about. So let's get right into this week's video message because now we're even shorter on time. It's going to be a crazy weekend, a good weekend, which is why I'm doing the live stream today on a Thursday. I know I normally will do it on a Saturday if I'm going to do it, but this weekend I'm flying to Independence, Missouri. I'm so excited. I leave tomorrow morning, so today is my last day to do a live video if I'm going to get one done. And I'm assuming, I just have this feeling that this is going to be a really awesome weekend, and there's going to be so much I want to talk about after this event is over that I want to save all that for my next video. So everything else that I want to talk about, I want to get that off the table today so I can start fresh next week. So anyways, here we are. Thanks for joining me, you guys. All right. So I actually have kept it pretty short, just to one page both sides, so I think we're going to do pretty good today. And my kids are out of school, and my oldest will be coming home in like an hour, and I have some packages that are supposed to be delivered and neighbors that might be coming over, so it might get a little bit crazy. We might have a couple interruptions, but I really wanted to get this message out today. So bear with me. All right. So I wanted to start by talking about basically the title of this week's video message, which is Your Trial of Faith, because that's kind of been the theme for me this week in my own personal life, and I know some of you as well, because we've shared stories throughout the week. So I want to start by talking about an experience that I had this week that led up to this message. I know I shared earlier this week that I was having a rough day and wanted to know if anybody else out there was kind of feeling that as well. And there were actually, surprisingly, a lot of you who were in the same boat. You were having similar experiences and just feeling a lot of pushback from the adversary, a lot of opposition. And so it was kind of nice to know I wasn't the only one. And in hindsight, now that it's been a few days since that's happened, I've been able to see why this unfolded and to look for the blessings and basically everything positive in all of this. And that's why I wanted to share that with you and have this be a message that goes with you into the coming weekend. So you don't have to bring any of that negativity or any of those bad experiences into your weekend and let it ruin your weekend. So hopefully this will help with that. Okay, and I just want to add too, as I've said before, for the comments, I'm going to check at the very end of the video and go through all the comments. So if you want to stick around to the very end, if there's anything you share or post, I'll get to it at the end of the video. That way we don't have any interruptions or pauses, and we can just make it smooth and flow right through the message. So thanks, guys. Okay. All right. So I had this crazy day this week, and there were some things that kind of led up to it, and I'm not going to go fully into detail because it would take the whole video, but it just kind of started over last weekend, just kind of out of the blue. That's kind of what I noticed was the pattern here, was all these crazy things that happened out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it. You know, life was going good, I was feeling great, and then just bam, something happens, I wasn't expecting it, and it just sort of shakes ya. It just sort of shakes ya. Tongue twister. So yes, that's what happened. And I'll just say, I'll spare you the details, but I'll just say over the weekend, it was kind of one of those parenting moments where, yeah, it wasn't my finest moment. I had some incidents with a couple of my, I'll just say with my girls. I'll just at least say that. My boys were great this weekend. It was my daughters, my girls. And they had a dance competition, and it was just supposed to be a fun girls' night out. Us going to their dance competition, which they did amazing. They took first place, and they won overall in their divisions, overall best team. So it was really great. They did really well. And on the way home, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was some kind of an energy that was in the building, or just, you know, being overwhelmed by all the people that are in the building. But it's just like, it started with my one daughter. I won't say who so I don't embarrass them. But one of my daughters just all of a sudden started to cry. And she just, I think it's because she, her team won. And I said, oh, go run up on the stage. And you know, they were taking a picture of the winning team. I said, run up and you can be in the picture. And she ran as fast as she could, but she didn't make it on time. So they took the picture without her in it, which is not a big deal at all. And I said, that's okay. I'll get a picture of you. Don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. And it was for her. And she just decided from that moment forward, the rest of the night she was going to be unhappy and miserable. And so she cried and she cried and she cried. And my sister came to visit. My awesome sister came to watch the girls perform. So my sister was there, and she was, you know, trying to enjoy our company. And here's my daughter screaming and crying and unhappy. just wasn't expecting that. And so anyways, we had to deal with that. I felt bad for my sister. And I felt bad for all the people sitting around us. It's just kind of one of those stressful moments as a parent. I just tried to calm her down. Anyways, finally towards the end of the night, I got her happy and excited, and I said, let's talk about where we're going to go to dinner, because your other sister's almost done, so we're going to go out to dinner and let's have fun. Let's pick a fun place. So I let her pick a place, and she got all excited again. And then my other daughter got done performing, came out, was changing her clothes, ready to go, and we told her, let's go get food. We picked out a place to eat, and for some reason that set her off. She decided in that moment that, I think because she didn't have a choice in where we were going, or she thought she didn't have a choice, we could have changed it. It really upset her, and I don't know what was going on in her mind at the moment, but it's like they switched places, and all of a sudden my other daughter's crying and upset and angry and doesn't want to get in the car, and it's raining. You know, we're in another city. We're like about an hour away from home. It's dark. It's raining, sort of snowing. It's like turning into snow. There's construction. It's just crazy. And we're trying to drive to find a place to eat. And I have a daughter in the back seat who's screaming and crying. And we almost, you know, had some close calls in traffic. And it was just one of those crazy moments. And I'll spare you all the rest of the details, but that's just kind of how the weekend was. So it was like just all these parenting moments that weren't fun, and really kind of pushed my limits, and some of them I didn't handle so well. And come Sunday, you know, I'm sitting there taking the sacrament, and I'm reflecting back on the weekend thinking those were not my finest moments. No, they were not the finest moments of my children, but they were also not my finest moments, because I could have exercised more patience, more humility, kindness, you know, all of that. And yeah, I looked back and I thought, oh, I wish I could have a do-over. So anyways, I was kind of feeling bad about that, but used the atonement to get through it and start the week out fresh on Monday. And just again, life started getting better. Everything was great. And oh, I guess something I need to tell you too, for those of you who follow our family vlog or follow my Facebook pages, you know that my son had surgery on his tonsils. And he had sleep apnea. His tonsils were so big, they were blocking his breathing. So he had really shallow breathing and sometimes not getting enough oxygen. And so he had his tonsils and his adenoids removed, which none of us have ever done before or experienced. So it was a whole new territory for us. And so behind the scenes of all of this, I guess it's important for you to know that yeah, we were dealing with that. And for those of you who have done a tonsil surgery, you kind of know what that entails and how painful it is. And I really wasn't prepared for that. I really thought, because I'd heard over and over, it's one of the most common surgeries in the United States. People have them every day, and you're in and you're out and you're home. It's not even something you usually spend the night for. It's just quick in and out. They're so common. And the younger you are, the better you recover. So I'm just thinking, oh, this will be smooth, easy. He's really young. He's 4. We'll go in, get it done, come out. He'll recover really fast because he's young, and he'll eat lots of popsicles. You know, I really was not prepared for what we were in store for. So anyways, sorry to share with you all this craziness, but I kind of have to so I can illustrate the point that I'm getting to in a minute. So yeah, it's been a crazy week, and what we didn't know, what the doctors didn't tell us, nobody had prepared us for this, was around day 5 and day 8 after surgery, that's when the pain is the most intense. We didn't know this. We found out later because on day 5, exactly like clockwork, he was just screaming in pain all day, all night, just screaming, 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 in so much pain. We tried so many things, natural things, medication, I mean everything, prayer, everything we could think of. And sometimes it would alleviate the pain just for a little bit, but it would always come back. And it seems like every time it came back, it was 10 times worse than it was before. And he just was screaming and holding his ears, and it was just unbearable for him. And anyways, we were dealing with that. So at night, it was like having a newborn baby. We had him sleeping in a room every night since he had a surgery, and he had a surgery not this last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, so it's been a while. And every night since then, he slept in our room on the floor. We made him a little bed, and he wakes up about every hour to hour and a half just crying and screaming because he's in pain. And that's with the rotation of the Tylenol and the ibuprofen every 3 hours, like they tell you to do. So we caved, and we gave him some of the powerful pain medication they give you. They gave us just such a tiny amount. They gave us, I want to say like 12 doses to get us through that whole period. So we were really careful how and when we used them. And yeah, it was just crazy. So we were sleep deprived, just like having a brand new baby. We were sleep deprived. And I will say it's probably what it's like having a colicky baby, because at least when my babies woke up at night crying, I could easily calm them down and put them back to sleep. And with Tatum, with my son, we could not calm him down. He a few times would wake up just screaming and covering his ears and running in the dark through the house, and we had to go chase him and hold him and rock him and soothe him and give him more pain meds, and everything we did, it's just like it wasn't always helping. So we did call the doctor, and he said there was nothing he could do, just kind of wait it out. So that's how our whole week has been. That's kind of what's been going on behind the scenes. And I never like sharing all the all the negative experiences, you know, things that I go through in my life, because I don't like to dwell on the negative. But again, this is going to illustrate a point, so that's why I'm sharing all of this with you. All right, so come Monday, it's a new day. We wake up. He gets up. He says, "Mom, I feel great," which is funny because I did notice every morning when he'd finally wake up, so he'd wake up like about 8:30 in the morning, he'd be happy and he'd feel great, and he'd go all the way till about noon, and then he'd be miserable again, sort of just the rest of the day. And so he said, "Mom, I feel good. I want to go to preschool today. I want to go to preschool." And I wasn't sure about it. He had a field trip the week before. So after his surgery, they had a field trip to the little aquarium, the little aquatic center that's up here at the mall. And he really wanted to go to that. He begged and begged and begged. And I talked to the teacher about it, and she said, if he feels great, you can bring him. It's not very long. You just, go through the aquarium. We used to have a family pass, so we've done it before. And he really, really wanted to do that. So we did. We went. He did great. In fact, a lot of the parents came up to me and said, "Wow, did he really just have tonsil surgery? You can't even tell. He's so happy. He seems so calm. He doesn't seem like he's in pain. He just enjoyed the entire field trip." And the teacher said the same thing. She said, "This is like the best I've ever seen him. He's just having fun, and I would imagine if he had surgery, he'd be in so much pain." And anyways, he just did great. So we thought when Monday came and he wanted to go to preschool, I thought, okay, because the doctor kind of told us, you decide, but usually, we tell you to keep your kids home from school the whole 10 days that they're recovering. Everyone's different. Some kids recover a lot sooner than others, so you just decide. And so Monday morning came and he just begged and begged, "Mom, please let me go to school. I want to go. I want to go." And I said, okay. So I took him, and we did our prayer that we do every time I send him to preschool. We do a spiritual warfare prayer, him and we pray away all the darkness, and we pray over the preschool, we pray over the classroom, we pray over the property that the preschool's on, we bless all the children, we pray protection, spiritual protection over Tatum, and we ask for angels to be with him, for the Savior to be with him, so he can be influenced by all those positive energies and beings, and so he can feel the Spirit. And so we've always done that, and it's always made such a difference. And it's funny because I may have shared this before, maybe in one of my past videos last year, but he was struggling at the beginning of preschool, and so we came up with a plan, and we had to hire an extra teacher to come in just to sit with him to help him, because he has his own, we don't even know what to call it. He just has his own special needs where he really needs someone to sit with him and kind of be his buddy and kind of be his advocate. So if he feels like something isn't fair or someone didn't understand what he was trying to say, or there's any kind of miscommunication or confusion, when he has someone there with him who can be his voice and help him, he does really well. But when he's kind of left to himself, he feels like people aren't listening to him, and he has to do things to get their attention, so he gets in trouble, or he's frustrated because people aren't understanding him, and so he takes it out on other kids, and he's kind of always been that way since he turned, shortly before he turned 3. He's almost 5. And so we'd come up with this plan, and we paid a lot of extra money to hire this teacher, and it worked out wonderful. And they would send home progress reports each day, and the progress report would show us areas that he's improved and where he needs to still, what he still needs to work on. And it would give us like a rating for that day, how he did. And every time he did good, he got a lollipop or a little sucker, just like all the other kids. So that's how you knew when the kids were good. If they come out with a sucker, that means they had a good day. And there were a lot of days before that where he never came out with a sucker. And once he had that help, he was coming out with suckers most of the time, and his reports were pretty good. And the teachers would say, for the most part, he's doing great. And those days and those moments when he's struggling, we're here to work with him. We understand, we get it. We want him to be successful at this so that he can be successful with kindergarten. And we want him to learn how to socialize and do all the things that preschool teaches you. So we're willing to work with him. We're willing to do this as long as you are, and we're patient. And so, yeah, it was great. And so a come January, the teacher stopped coming, and so they said, well, you don't need to pay for her now because she's probably not going to come anymore because we feel that he doesn't need her anymore. He's doing so good that, you know, she's kind of getting burnt out because she teaches all the other days that, so he goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and she teaches, I think, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Plus she's a mom of young kids, and so she was kind of getting burnt out. But they said that's okay because we feel she really helped him transition to where he's at right now, and now he's doing great. He gets how preschool works. He understands it now, and we haven't had any incidents, and so he's really doing good. We're really hopeful. And so with that, we just thought, yay, we finally have, you know, gotten over that hurdle, and we're doing great. So all through January, all through February, we never got any negative reports. The progress papers stopped coming home, so we never got those. And we just assumed everything was great. Every time we picked him up, the teacher had a smile on her face, and Tatum had a sucker, so that just told us he was doing great. And once in a while, if we asked, the teacher might say, well, he had a moment, but it's normal for 4-year-olds. He's not the only one. Like, that's what 4-year-olds do, and we got through it, and it was totally fine. He did great. So that's what we were being told, and so we just assumed everything was great. And I'd been doing those spiritual warfare prayers with him every morning before he'd go to school, so we just felt so confident that it was just going to keep going great. I mean, it wasn't even something on my mind anymore. So Monday morning, I'm taking him to school, and I said, oh yes, we need to do our spiritual warfare prayer. So we did that. I took him to school. He was so excited. He didn't even wait for me. He just ran into the school and waved goodbye. And about an hour later, I'm just cleaning the house, doing things with the girls, and all of a sudden I get a text that says he hurt another child and I needed to come get him. They wanted him to have a break and come home. And that was a shock for me, and I didn't see that coming. And so anyways, I felt really bad, and I texted the teacher and said, okay, I'm on my way over, and I came over and picked him up, and she said, sorry, you know, she was smiling, you know, we didn't see it coming just out of nowhere. He just had a moment, but he hurt someone, and that's not okay, so we need him to have a bigger timeout and go home. And I said, no, I totally understand, and I'm so sorry, and that's not okay for him to do that. We're going to talk about this, believe me. I'm so surprised he did this. He hasn't done anything like this in months. And then I told her, I wonder if it has to do with the pain that he's in. Maybe his ears started hurting, and that was how he showed his pain and frustration, which is no excuse, but I'm just trying to understand why he's acting like this. So I felt really bad. I called my husband. I told him. And then, anyways, it was a really exhausting day. I brought him home. We talked about it. He felt really bad. And when I asked him why he did it, he said he didn't know. And so we get home, and I'm starting to feel the effects kick in of going days and days without any sleep. I was feeling so tired. And I decided that afternoon I was going to take a nap. I thought, okay, I'm going to take at least an hour nap, which I usually never have time to do, but I'm going to make time for it. It's so important to do that, right? So that afternoon, I put the kids down for a movie. I went upstairs, closed all the blinds, you know, got in my comfortable clothes, and I went down for a nap. And right as I started to fall asleep, my phone rings. And I see that it's the owner of the preschool. And my heart just sort of sunk, you know, just like, oh no, she never calls me. This can't be good. And so I missed the call. I didn't get to the phone in time. I missed the call, and I thought, okay, maybe I just need to take my nap, then call her back, because maybe whatever she tells me, I won't be ready to deal with it. And I'm so tired, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to call her back. Let me just take this nap. The nap is so important. So I lay down to take the nap again, and I'm finding it really difficult to fall asleep because now my mind is going with thoughts, right? I'm sure you've been there, and my thoughts won't be quiet, and I'm just thinking over and over all the possibilities. You know, what's going to happen? Why did she call? Is there more I don't know about? is he getting kicked out of preschool? Like, my heart just was pounding. I was scared. I was worried. And for those of you who know me, those of my friends and family, you all know that he was kicked out of preschool the year before. He only lasted a month at a neighborhood preschool, and the lady just said that he never sat still, and so he was a disruption every day, and she couldn't handle it anymore. So he was only there a month, and she said, "Come get him, I'm done." And that was really hard, and that was when we first started realizing what is going on. We need to get him some help because this isn't good. But then people would say, well, he's so young, it's a phase, he'll grow out of it. He's only 3, he's not used to preschool. And so we were hearing lots of different voices telling us different things, so it was hard to know what to do. But over the last several months, between that year and this year, we've had so many appointments, we've seen so many specialists, we've talked to so many people, we've done the energy stuff, we've done all these different modalities, all these different people with different spiritual gifts, we've had blessings, we've tried to get into some therapy, like anger management therapy or communication counseling, I mean, all these different things, but what we kept finding out was because he's so young, people weren't willing to work with him because they just said, he's so young, and that's so typical for kids his age. Wait till he's in kindergarten or first grade, then we can work with them because then we'll know, because usually that's when those things start to calm down. But this is so typical for his age. So we kept getting told that. So every time we would try to get him help, we would hit a brick wall, and people would say, sorry, we can't go any further, he's too young. And we're not really concerned. And we went to the school district and we applied to get him a special preschool through the school district, but he didn't qualify because he barely fell below the average line when the psychologist did all the testing. They basically said, in a nutshell, that he wasn't disabled enough to receive help. So he didn't have enough special needs. So we've tried everything, and so I think that's probably what was the most frustrating for me was I was trying everything and anything I could. I mean, my friends and family know this because we've had so many phone conversations, and we'd exhausted just about all of our resources, and so we wanted people to know that we were good parents and we were trying to help our son, but, you know, we just can only do what we can do. So I explained that situation when we put him in this next preschool that's also a neighborhood preschool. And it's hard because I know all these people because they're my neighbors, they're in my community, they're in my ward, in my stake, and they, you know, their kids go to the same schools as my kids, and we serve on the same committees and PTA and all of that, and so I see them all the time, and so it's hard. It's not easy. It's definitely awkward at times. And anyway, so I talked to this preschool before he went in and explained the situation before he even started his first day. And I said, is this something you're okay with? These are his special needs, and these are the areas he struggles in. Here's what we're working with him on. Here's what we've been doing. Here's what works. Here's what doesn't work. And here's the reason he got kicked out of his preschool last year. He only lasted a month. And the teachers and the owner were just so positive and said, that's totally okay. And from everything you've told us, that's normal. We deal with that all the time, and it's normal, so we'll totally work with you on that. We want him to be successful, and we understand where you're coming from. We get it. It's not easy, but we're willing to help you out. So that's kind of the journey we've been on. So anyways, back to my nap. So I'm thinking, okay, if this preschool doesn't work out for him, then he's just not going to ever graduate from preschool, and maybe that's okay. But then, of course, the adversary found me in a weak moment. I was sleep deprived, low energy, exhausted, drained, and you know, just he found a moment to get into my mind and play on my anxieties, and he started to tell me, I know it sounds crazy, but he showed me this slideshow of my son's future, and all of a sudden I see him you know, getting in trouble a lot in kindergarten, and then getting expelled from elementary school, and not being able to get married because no girls want to date him because he's mean, and him not being able to go on a mission because of his issues, and not being able to have a relationship with the Lord or serve how he would like to serve because of his issues, and then one day ending up in prison because he gets so angry he can't control it and he does something that puts him behind bars. So the adversary is showing me the slideshow of his future, and that really bothered me. And I stopped in that moment and I said, no, this is the adversary. This is not truth. This is the adversary. He's trying to show me that this is my son's future. But we don't have to accept that. That doesn't have to be his truth. And I reject that. I don't want to accept that. I reject that. That's not his future. That's not who he is. That's not who Heavenly Father created him to be. Everything I'm being shown is the way that Satan wants things to turn out for my son. That's the path that he wants me to see for my son. Because if I think about it enough, I start to believe it, and then I start to speak it, and then I bring it into fulfillment. And I don't want to fulfill any of those prophecies brought on by the adversary. So I was really battling that in that moment, and I'm trying to fall asleep, and I laid there for about 45 minutes, falling in and out of sleep, having all kinds of crazy thoughts, battling the adversary, and all of a sudden I get a knock on my door, on my bedroom door, and my kid said, "Mom, there's a man standing in the house." And I'm thinking, why is there a man standing in my house? Who is it? And they said, we don't know, but he needs to talk to you. So I'm thinking, oh no, it's a salesman, and why is he in my house? Children, you know the rules. We don't let strangers in the house. And I was so tired, I just didn't want to get up. So I get up and I walk out, and there's a man standing in my house, so close to my bedroom, and I've never seen him before, and it really caught me off guard. And I asked him, who are you? Can I help you? And it turned out he's someone my husband had been talking to. I'll spare you the details of that, but he was there for something and needed to talk to my husband, but my husband wasn't home. So, and then the other neighbors came over, neighbor kids came over knocking on the door. They needed some things, borrowing things, and we took in some packages over the weekend for some neighbors that were out of town, and so it just kind of got crazy. And then my phone starts ringing, and I realized I wasn't going to get a nap. So anyways, I finally get around to calling back the preschool owner, and I called her, and she just told me, and I was just at this point so exhausted, so burnt out, so tired, and she basically, I could just feel where it was going, and she tried as nice as she could just to say, you know, we've tried everything for your son, and it's just not getting any better, so we're kind of out of ideas, we're kind of done. And I said to her, I remember the words I used, I said, you know, she says, how do you feel about this? And I said, well, actually, truthfully, I feel really blindsided. And that was the word I used, blindsided. I said, I feel so blindsided by this. I did not see this coming. And I had just been told nothing but good things for the last couple of months. We haven't had any incidents. He hasn't had any reports coming home. Every time I pick him up, he's smiling. The teacher's smiling. He has a sucker, and she smiles and gives him a high five, and everything just seems so fine. And so I feel like I didn't have any warning for this. I wasn't prepared for it. I just thought everything was great. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing that things aren't great, and you're done helping him. And I don't know. I don't know what to say or how to say how I feel. And I was really frustrated. I just didn't know what to say. And she said, well, you know, do you have any ideas of anything else we could do to help him? Because we've exhausted all of our ideas. And I said, really, the only idea that worked was when we were paying that extra teacher to help him. And he seemed to do really good with that. And she said, yeah, that's not an option anymore. That teacher's burnt out. So we're done with that. And she said, you know, just coming from a preschool owner's point of view, I have to protect the kids, and I can't have a kid that's unpredictable. I can't have a kid that might hurt other kids, and I just can't have that. It's a risk for me. And you know, then she told me that some of the moms had called in the past and complained about him, which I didn't even know about, and so I felt horrible. I just seen them all on a field trip, and everyone seemed to love him and was so nice to him. So I'm just feeling all kinds of confusing thoughts. And I think the other thing kind of going on in the background of my mind is his birthday's coming up, and we usually don't throw him a party because he doesn't really have any friends. And he'd been saying, Mom, I want to have a birthday party and I want to invite my friends from preschool because I love my friends from preschool. They're my best friends. And that's why he wanted to do the field trip, because he wanted to show me his friends. So at the field trip, he said, Mom, these are my friends. And there was 9 boys in the class and 2 girls. And the 9 boys were just loving on him and hugging him. And they kept saying, you're my best friend, Tatum. And he was so cute with them, and they were cute with him, and it just seemed like everything was just fine. I had no idea any of this behind-the-scenes stuff was going on. I mean, I really was completely blindsided. And so I'm thinking in the back of my mind, well, if he gets kicked out of preschool in this moment, he's not going to be able to have a birthday party. He's not going to be able to invite these friends because we won't be able to pass out the invitations at preschool, and I don't know these children. They don't live near me, so it's probably not going to happen, and it sounds like some of the parents aren't too happy with him anyways, which I had no idea, and you never want to hear that as a mom. And I just was feeling really kind of bad for him, and bad for his situation, and bad for his issues, and just, bad for the kids that or the little girl he had hurt, and it was just all kinds of feelings, just kind of a whirlwind. And so we're on the phone, and she said, well, probably what we're going to do is I'm going to have to think about it. Don't bring him to school Wednesday. Don't bring him Wednesday. And I'll call you probably Thursday, so maybe sometime today. And I'll let you know if he can keep coming, or if we're just going to be done all together, or if we're just going to only have him come on Fridays, or we'll figure something out. But I'll let you know either way. And she said, I'd like to talk to the parents of the little girl that he kicked and see if they want him coming, because I guess she had told me that the little girl is 3 years old, and this was the first year that they had combined the 3-year-olds with the 5-year-olds, which is something they've never done before. And so for some reason, when he's angry, there's a couple of 3-year-olds in the class, he takes his anger out on the 3-year-olds because they're younger and smaller than him, which is not good. And I don't want him to be a bully. So, anyway, she was saying, well, maybe it's our fault because we have combined these 3 and 5-year-olds, and that's usually something we never do, but we can't change it. We've got to keep it this way this time. And so I'm going to leave it up to the parents of the little girl that he hurt, and if they're okay with him coming back, maybe we'll just have him come back once a week, or we'll figure it out. Or if they're not okay with it, then he probably won't ever be able to come back. And so, anyways, it just felt so final and so drastic and so out of the blue, so unexpected. I felt so blindsided, and I was just, again, feeling those hopeless feelings that the adversary was just filling me with, because I was in a moment of weakness. I was tired, burnt out, exhausted, and he's just pushing all this negativity towards me, and I was feeling like I was just going to break. And I was really just, the perfect word is hopeless. I was feeling like, where do we go from here? Is there any hope? Can things ever get better for him and his situation and his life? And, it's hard too, because I'm friends with the sister of the owner of the preschool, and so that's hard, and that can be awkward. And anyways, it was just crazy all around. So she asked me a couple more questions, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just broke down and I did the ugly cry. So that's what I was talking about on Facebook. I did the ugly cry, and I couldn't stop crying. I mean, it was like the floodgates had opened, and once the water was coming out, it was in full force, and I couldn't stop. And I was just sobbing on the phone. I couldn't even breathe, and she just kept quietly talking over me and trying to be sweet and kind, and I just apologized. I said, I never do that. I'm so sorry. I must really be at the end of my rope. And I just told her, we're sleep deprived. She didn't even know Tatum had had surgery. I said, he had a surgery last week. He had his tonsils out, and he's been up all night, every hour, screaming in pain. And I don't know what's best to do. I guess I probably shouldn't have brought him to school. He wanted to. He seemed fine, and maybe that's my fault, and I just don't know what to do. I don't know what decisions are good and what decisions are bad with this. I just feel like I've kind of failed as a parent. And so I just was sobbing and getting that all out, and she just kept saying, yeah, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry to say this to you, I'm sorry to do this to you, I'm sorry. And anyways, that was that. So I didn't have time to get it all out. I felt there was more that needed to come out, and I think this was just a build-up of everything that's happened to him since that first experience when he got kicked out of his first preschool a couple years ago up until now. It's like I was reliving those feelings and emotions, and they were still raw. And maybe the Lord was trying to point out that this is something that I still need to heal. I had worked on forgiving the people involved in that whole experience, and I think the one thing I missed was I forgot to forgive the experience and forgive those feelings and emotions I was still holding on to. So that was a good reminder for me, but that's where all this was coming from. It was all still there, and it was all still raw. And so in that moment, I remember just thinking, there's so much going on. It's not easy being a parent. And right now, each of my kids has one issue that we spend so much time and energy trying to help them with. You know, Tatum with his behavior issues and his tonsil surgery, and Cambry just had her kidney surgery, and she had a blockage in her a growth in her kidney that was blocking it from draining, and we had to go in and do major surgery, and she had one of those urine catheter bags she had to wear for 2 weeks, and she was out of school for 2 weeks, and that was a lot. I don't know which is easier, dealing with a catheter bag that breaks all the time and leaks everywhere, or dealing with tonsil surgery. They're both pretty rough. So we were dealing with all that, and you know, every week it seems like we had 2 or 3 appointments all over the valley, down in Salt Lake, just all over the place, just always relating to my kids. And then I won't go into the details of all my kids. Each of them has something that we've been working on and seeing people for and having appointments. And my oldest, it's been his acne, and that's actually something I'm going to talk about later in the video, so I guess it's pertinent to bring that up. But he has severe acne that just came out a couple of months ago. He's never had a problem with it before, and it's really affecting his self-esteem. And he's such a cute, sweet kid, and just such a happy-go-lucky kid. So it's been hard to see him go through that. So we've probably spent $900. I mean, just to show you how much we've tried in the last month and a half, just on his acne, just visiting so many different specialists and trying different programs and products and ordering things online, and just natural things and energy modalities, just all kinds of different people and specialists and experts. And so far it hasn't been healed. And we've fasted for him. We've done family fasts. We've gone to the temple. We are trying everything we can think of. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I'm building up to the point is to kind of show you how exhausted I felt. I have 4 children, and they each have a pretty rough issue they're going through right now, all completely different issues. Some physical, some spiritual, some emotional, mental, all different. And they all have different appointments every week all over the valley, and we're talking to specialists on the phone, and we're trying to get them all the help they need and want. And it's time-consuming, it's draining, it's exhausting, it's expensive. Oh my goodness, you guys. So, and the surgeries, you know, they haven't been cheap. So it's just been a crazy first couple of months of this year. But it's just been amazing, just crazy amazing. But all craziness leads to something good eventually. So that's what I'm getting to. So anyways, that's kind of what happened to me. And in the moment, it just seemed like the events that led up to that, the things that happened over the weekend with my girls, I was blindsided by their behavior because I wasn't expecting that, because we were having such a fun weekend and mom and girls night out, right? So I just kept hearing that word in my mind. Maybe it was my own self-talk, but I kept hearing, I'm getting blindsided. I'm getting blindsided. Like, it's almost like I just kept getting blows and punches coming out of nowhere. I couldn't even prepare for them and brace for the impact. It's like they were just coming and smacking me left and right out of every direction. And it's hard when you're not prepared to take that, when you're not ready for it, because when you're prepared for a trial, when you know it's coming, It's so much easier to deal with that obstacle, that challenge, or that trial because you see it coming. You see it from a distance and you think, okay, I see that coming. Ooh, it's not going to be pretty, but here's what I think I can do to combat that. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need these people to rally around me. I'm going to need to call my sister. I'm going to get my backup forces. I'm going to go to the temple in the morning. You just get super prepared and you're able to deal with it so much better. But when things like this happen, one after another, and I'm sparing you a lot of details, there's a lot of things that also happened in addition to this that I haven't shared, and it was just a lot. It was just overwhelming. And so anyways, that night, my husband was so sweet. He got up every hour with Tatum, so I didn't have to, so I could sleep. And the next day was my birthday. And the day before, so all day Monday, I kept feeling like there's more that needs to heal. There's more emotions that need to come out connected to all of this. But I never had the time to let it out. And that is so important, you guys. It is so important to give yourself time to deal with things, to deal with life, and to process really heavy and deep, raw feelings and emotions, and to give those to the Savior. And I felt like I didn't have any time to do that. We were just going from one thing to another, just busy, and I never had the time to keep crying and let it all out. I stopped it, and I held it back in, and then 45 minutes later, I had 10 minutes before we had to go take someone to a church activity or drum lessons or whatever. So I'd run into my closet. The minute I closed the door, all the tears would come out again, and I'd cry for as long as I could. And then I'd have to, clean up my makeup, go back out, go face the world. A couple hours later, come back in, have 10 more minutes in my closet, let the tears come out, and that's kind of how I dealt with it. But anyways, by the next day, by my birthday, I woke up, and it was already a better day. I woke up, and everything seemed so much brighter. I had prayed all night, so I know that helped. And I just was feeling so much better. I felt like I got sleep, so that was good. And it was my birthday, so I was hearing from everyone and, people reaching out all day long, just so nice, so kind, so sweet. Thanks to everyone for all the birthday wishes. People stopping by my home, bringing me treats and presents, and it was just a fun, special day. And I took the kids out, and we went on some fun little excursions. We had lunch, we went shopping, we watched a movie, and my husband came home, we went to dinner, and it was just a really fun day. And it's amazing. It's funny because people said to me at first, how dare the adversary do this to you the day before your birthday? How dare he do that to you? And the way I actually look at it is it was a blessing that all that happened before my birthday, so that I could deal with it the best that I could, process it, get a full night's sleep, and really enjoy my birthday. If it would have happened, it could have happened the day of my birthday, or it could have happened later this week and counteracted all the amazing things that happened on my birthday. So I'm glad that it happened the way that it did, and I see the Lord's hand in all things. And so I've just been praising Him and expressing gratitude for His hand in all things, and that's all you can do. And so, real quick, something I wanted to share with you, and then I have more I want to share. So, in that moment when I was in my closet crying, and I was saying, this is so hard, I'm at a loss, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to deal with this, I don't know where to go from here, I'm all out of ideas, and I'm kind of out of hope with the situation. I don't know what to do, and I know it's just a dark moment I'm in, and this will pass. But it's a hard moment, and I called on the Savior, and I asked Him to be with me, and it was just a hard moment. And it just felt like in that moment, I was alone, even though I knew that I wasn't, and I was talking to the Lord and asking Him to be with me. I wasn't feeling His arms around me. I wasn't feeling any of that. And I just thought, I just need to wait. It'll come. And it wasn't coming. And so I started to question, am I being punished? What's going on here, right? And then I was reminded of that moment when the Savior was in the Garden of Gethsemane and atoning for the world's sins. And there was a time when he too felt overwhelmed, and he just really felt the weight of what he was about to do. And between that point and the time on the cross, he had that moment where he felt alone, and he said, he felt that his father had forsaken him. He was essentially saying, "Where are you? I don't feel you. I feel all alone. Where are you?" And even he had to experience what that was like. And I'm feeling it right now, so I think I'm onto something. But I felt in that moment, there is a purpose in this. There is a purpose in this. It is good for you to know what this feels like. It is good for you to know for some reason, for some purpose. It is good for you to know what this feels like. It's not going to last forever, but there is wisdom and purpose in this moment. And strangely, that brought me peace. And in that moment, I got a text on my phone. And it was from someone out there who was also going through a really rough moment. She had no idea I was going through a moment. And she texted me and said, "I'm really struggling with faith right now. I'm really struggling with my faith. I'm reaching out to you. This is a cry for help, advice. I need something. There's something really important that I need answered. It's a prayer that I desperately need answered. And I'm doing a 3-day fast. And I'm really worried that if at the end of my 3-day fast, I don't get that blessing that I'm asking for, I'm going to lose my faith. It's going to be a breaking point for me. So I'm kind of having this faith crisis. Can you help me?" And in that moment, I'm thinking, this might not be the best time to ask for advice from me, from the happy lady, right? Because I was not having a happy moment. And then as I thought about that, it was kind of funny. I kind of saw the irony in that situation. And I started to think that what better way to get yourself out of a negative moment, a moment of despair, what better way to pull yourself out than an opportunity to serve someone, an opportunity to help someone, an opportunity to offer words of comfort and give someone some hope, right? Maybe the Lord is giving me this opportunity to help pull me out of this dark moment of despair. So I saw it that way, and I felt really grateful. And so I texted her back, and I shared with her some advice. And it was funny because as I was writing, I thought I could use my own advice right now. So I'm going to use it. I am. I'm going to let this be my hope that pulls me out of this. I know it's true what I'm sharing with her. I know it's true, so I'm going to choose to believe it and receive it and let this help pull me out, which is exactly what I did. And so she ended up writing me back a couple days later and said, I didn't get that answer I was hoping for, but I'm choosing to see it as that's not what the Lord's will was for me. It's not what He wanted for me. For some reason, He did not want that to happen for some kind of a good, wise purpose that I don't understand right now. So I'm just choosing to trust in that. And that's sort of the advice that I gave her. And I said, yes, that's all you can do. Just trust that, a couple years from now, 5, 10 years from now, who knows? I know this is always the case for me. You'll look back on those moments and you'll see the wisdom in that. You'll see the wisdom in why you went through that trial, or why the Lord didn't bless you with exactly what you wanted when you wanted it, and why He chose something different for you or took you in a different direction, and why certain doors closed and other doors opened, or no doors opened at all at that time in your life. It never makes sense in the moment, and we're so surrounded by the darkness, it's so thick we can't even see any other possibilities for hope, so we just feel, in despair. But I don't know about you, for me, every time I look back on those moments in my life, I see how it got better, and I see the wisdom in the way that it turned out, the reason it turned out the way that it did, and I realize had it turned out the way I wanted it to, then X, Y, and Z wouldn't have happened, or I wouldn't have met so-and-so, which took me down this road. And so the Lord knew that. So He always has a wonderful plan for us. We just have to trust Him. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. So that's really this is going to take it to the next part of my message, but that's what I wanted to share about my week and about that rough, tough day and what I learned from that day. I wanted to share that with you, and I'd love to hear from you. If you've experienced anything similar, I'd love to hear your experiences or what you've learned, because I don't think this is just happening to me. I think there's a purpose in why this is happening right now to so many of us, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. All right, so let's see. Oh, yes, something I wanted to point out. I told you I used the word blindsided a lot this week, and I noticed yesterday we went to go see a high school play last night, and all of a sudden I realized how bad my vision was, and I just had an eye appointment a month ago. My vision was perfect. I mean, because I had LASIK surgery a couple years ago, so it's still perfect, still great vision. But all of a sudden, I had really bad vision. Everything was blurry, and no matter how many eye drops I put in my eyes, nothing would clear up. And it occurred to me, I played back in my mind the events of the week, and I thought, oh my goodness, I kept using that word blindsided, blindsided, blind. I'm being blindsided so many times, I'm allowing myself to be blindsided by the enemy, that I'm being blind to what's really going on. I'm being blind to what the Lord is doing for me and what He's setting up for me right now. I'm blind to all of that because I'm so focused on being blindsided by the enemy, and I felt like that was really affecting my vision. And so that's something I'm going to work on this week. I really feel that has something to do with it. So anyways, okay, so moving on, there's a book that I've been reading. I've shared it before in blog posts. I can't even think of the name of it right now, you guys. I'm sorry. But in the book, it compares, it goes over these old historical manuscripts from centuries ago that are believed to be about the Savior, but they were written in a disguise so that they wouldn't be burned, since they were Christian material. It was during the time of the persecution. So it was written to be a story that would appear to be about Joseph of Egypt and his wife. But everything in the story parallels Christ. So they just believe it was people who knew Christ and knew things about his life and wanted to preserve that and share it, but knew if they did, it would be burned, because everything was being burned at that time and destroyed. So they wrote it in a secret code so that it would appear as an Old Testament story that could pass as Jewish, so that it would be preserved. And it was preserved all these years, discovered in the library, I forget the name of the Library of England, and they've analyzed it, and there was a book written about it by this scholar, and he talks about in there, he shows the comparisons between Joseph and Jesus. And it was really interesting because I may have heard of that before, but for some reason it felt new to me, and I realized just how many people out there, I mean, I thought of Joseph Smith as well, who kind of are like a type of Savior. They kind of are like a type, I don't know how to explain this, but the things that have happened to them in their lives kind of parallel what happened to the Savior on so many levels, and I feel there's something to that. So I was reading that in the book, and it was talking about a certain part of Jesus's life in the book. And that day that I was reading it, I had just said to my sister earlier that day, she said, "How do you feel about all this that's going on in your life right now?" Especially with the preschool situation. And I said, it's really weird because it feels like not just the preschool thing, but all these other things that have been happening, it feels like bullying and betrayal, two B words. The bullying I'll get to in a minute, but that has to do with some things I've been experiencing with YouTube and Facebook. Some of you who follow me know what I'm talking about, but I've never experienced anything like that before. And so I just said, with everything going on this week, it feels like bullying and betrayal, which are not fun feelings to feel. And later, as I was reading this book, I was reminded of what I said to her earlier that day. And it said in the book that Joseph of Egypt was betrayed by his brothers, and Jesus was betrayed by Judas. Judas sold Jesus. He sold him for, what was it, 10, 30 pieces of silver? I my mind's drawing a blank right now. And Joseph of Egypt, his brothers sold him as well. They sold him into slavery. And they both understood what betrayal felt like and bullying felt like. They understood that. And that's what I was feeling. And so I thought, it's interesting that this is what I was talking about today. And then here I am reading about how the Savior handled it and what it was like for him when he went through it and how he dealt with it and how Joseph of Egypt dealt with it and how they overcame. And it was just really, really a comfort to read their experiences and compare that to what I was going through. And so it taught me something, though, that I started to think, there's something to this whole bullying and betrayal, these feelings and experiences, and eventually they lead to something really good. I hope you see where I'm trying to go with this. I'm trying to find the most eloquent way to say this. But I started to see the wisdom and the necessity to have to go through these types of experiences in order to progress into something greater, right? In order to get to something greater, you have to go through these learning opportunities and show the Lord that you can do this, that you can get through this with Him. And just that's what I'm experiencing right now in my own life. So I want to hear if any of you are going through that as well. But that's why I titled this video Bring on the Trial of Faith, because I'm gonna get to even more in a minute. But as I'm going through this in the process right now, real time, not only is this a live stream video, but I am live streaming my life right now because this is all happening in real time, and I'm learning right now, not after the fact, but I'm learning this right now, that there is wisdom in these trials, and there's wisdom in understanding what it's like to go through these experiences, whether it be so that we can relate with someone later on and help them go through it, or whether it be so that we can have more sympathy for our brothers and sisters as they go through similar experiences. Who knows the purpose behind it? But I'm just really feeling like it's necessary to get to that next level, to push through those barriers and obstacles, to come into something higher, which is, I believe, is what's going to prepare us for the millennium, for the return of our Savior. So this is so important. So then I'm feeling it right now, so I must be onto something. But I'm thinking there's wisdom in this, because if we don't go through these things right now, we're not going to be ready. We're not going to be ready for His return. We have to go through some pretty crazy things to really show ourselves and show the Lord where our heart really is. If our heart isn't going through some pretty crazy experiences right now and everything's just still in our lives, I think we should be more worried about that. I think we should be more worried if our lives are quiet and still and calm every day. I think we should be grateful and rejoice, as crazy as it sounds, for trials and for obstacles and for challenges, because they're helping get our heart where it needs to be. They're showing us where our heart really is and where our trust really is in the Lord. Do we really trust Him? Do we really lean on Him and press into Him? What's our relationship truly like with Him? Are we trying to do it on our own most of the time? Are we trying to rely too much on the flesh? Or are we going to Him every time? And it's easier to say the right answers, like, well, of course I love the Lord. Of course I have a great relationship with Him. Of course I press into Him. Of course my heart is in the right place and I have charity in my heart. But then when it actually comes down to it and you're in those moments and you're going through those fires, that's where we truly find out what we're made of, and we truly find out where our heart really is. And so we can't help but be grateful for those experiences and opportunities, because then when we come out and we realize, yes, I did go to the Lord and I did press into Him and I did trust in Him and I never lost my faith. I almost did, but I kept hanging on. And then we can look back at those experiences with confidence and gratitude and peace of mind that we did it. That we did it. We did something hard and we came through with the Lord, and we came out better than we were before. We came out into something shinier, more purified, something more beautiful than we were before. So do you see what I'm saying? When I'm saying bring on the trial of faith, I'm not taunting the adversary and saying, oh, come on, show me what you're made of. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, you know what? If it means coming out more purified and more refined and more ready to meet the Savior, bring it on. I can't help but want that, right? And I believe that's the mindset we have to be in right now, to face what's coming, to face what lies ahead. And if we can look at it with that mindset, I believe no matter how blindsided we feel when it comes, we will be prepared to face it. That's how I feel. All right, you guys. So a couple more things I wanted to add. I forgot to, I guess I left something out of the story that I need to share with you. Back to the story about my son, and after he had his tonsil surgery and he was home and he was in a lot of pain, it was really hard to see him go through that. It's hard to see someone who normally has a lot of energy, and most of the time he's pretty silly and likes to laugh, and to see him have days where he just was so miserable and so unhappy and so lethargic, and that was hard. It's hard to see as a parent. And it was one of those days. It was just, I think, the day after his surgery. And all of a sudden, we get a knock on the door. And I'm gonna tell you her name. She's an amazing lady in my word. Her kids are younger than mine, but she always lets Tatum come over and play every now and then. She does a play date so all the moms can go to the temple. And she gives of her time, her and another sister in the ward, they give of their time once a month to watch all of our kids so that we can all go to the temple. And she's such an example of service and sacrifice. And her name is Sister Squire. And after this week, I just want to say that the world needs more Sister Squires in it. And she'll never know what that meant to us. She'll never know that visit that she made to our home that day, what that did for us and what that meant to us. And the impact that it had on me and my son, she'll never know. But let me just tell you, she came to the door, and she didn't have to do this. You know, she's not like his primary teacher or our close neighbor or, you know, someone in the family. She's just a sweet sister in the ward who's really observant and definitely lives by the Spirit. And she just has always taken a special liking to my son. I don't know why, but anytime she sees him at church, she comes up to him and high-fives him and gets so excited and says, "Oh, when are you going to come to my house? I can't wait to have you over for a play day. You're just so much fun. We love you." And she's really, you know, made the effort to get to know him on a personal level, and he can feel that, and he appreciates that, and he responds really well to that. And so he loves going to her home, and they really don't have any incidents over there. He's always really good over there, and there's lots of kids. So she came over and she said, "I heard that you had surgery." And she said, "I saw your picture on Facebook, and it just broke my heart. It just broke my heart when I saw that picture. I saw you he had just come out of surgery, and he was just coming out of the anesthesia. I can never say that word. Anyways, he was just coming off the drugs, and he was coming out of it, and we had taken a picture of him." And she said, "I saw that picture, and it just pulled at my heartstrings, and I wanted to bring you something." And so she brought a bag, and she pulled out different things, and she pulled out some popsicles and said, "I thought you would like this because when I was your age, these were my favorite flavor of ice cream." And then she said, "And then my kids wanted to pick you out something they thought you would like. Here's some Star Wars popsicles, and here's why they thought you would like that." She said, "And then we know your favorite color is blue and yellow." And I thought, how did she even know that? She really does take the time to get to know someone. And she pulled out some Hot Wheels that she bought that were blue and yellow. And she said, "I hope you enjoy these. I know how much you love cars, and I know that these are your favorite colors." Pardon me, you guys. I just need to get a drink. And anyways, she just said, "I know that you love Hot Wheels, so I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get better. And we just want you to know that we love you, we're thinking about you, and we can't wait to have you come over again." And she hugged him, and sorry. Anyways, I really feel like that her coming over that day prepared me in some way for what was coming next, because in that moment when I was struggling and felt like no one likes my son and he's, you know, he's a bully or he's mean, or they all think that he's mean and they're always going to see him as the mean kid or the bad kid, and he's always going to be told his whole life that he's the bad kid, and parents and adults, you know, aren't comfortable being around him or don't like him. And, you know, as I was going through that and the adversary was really pulling me down, I was able to look back on this day when she came to my home, and I thought, there is someone out there who loves my son, who doesn't even have to love my son. She's not getting paid to love him. She's not a teacher. she's got no reason whatsoever to love him other than just because she's like Christ. She really is Christ-like, and she just wants to love him. And she just, wow, I'm just telling you that I really feel like that's the way that, one of the ways that the Lord prepared me for what was coming around the corner, was I could look back on that and say, no, there are people like Sister Squire. There are good people out there who love my kids. And if even just one person sees greatness in him, so can I. So can everyone else, right? There's hope. And so, anyways, I hope you understand what I was trying to say with that experience. But that just really touched me on so many levels, and she'll never know the way that that blessed our lives. Unless she sees this video. So, okay, so that later that day, I wanted to share this with you. Later that day, as I was driving in the car, and I told you I still hadn't gotten everything out. I was still feeling like there was more to heal. And I heard the Lord tell me, turn on the Joel Osteen channel on Sirius XM. And I thought, oh, it's been a while since I've listened to Joel Osteen, but yeah, he does always have something positive to say. So I flipped to the Joel Osteen channel, and I read the title of the sermon he was giving in that moment, and it was titled, When the Water Breaks. And, and I kind of thought, well, it feels like I had a dam break today when I was in the closet, and the floodgates opened and all that water came out. I felt like the water broke today. So I kind of laughed, and it just said, message number 740. And in that moment, right when I turned it on, here's what he said. He was talking about Joseph of Egypt. How funny is that? So I had just been reading about Joseph of Egypt. I just felt like he was going through not the same thing I was going through by any means, but that I could relate on some level. And then here is Joel talking about Joseph of Egypt again. And I thought, okay, Lord, I'm listening. I get it. I'm seeing a pattern here. You have a message for me. And here's what he said. Had God kept Joseph from the betrayal, he would have kept him from his destiny. And I'm feeling it. I don't know if you can see that. Woo! That was a big one. But there it was. There was that witness. I'm going to say it again. Had God kept Joseph from the betrayal, he would have kept him from his destiny. So in essence, what he's saying is, if Joseph had prayed, Lord, get me out of this. I don't want to go through this betrayal. I don't like what my brothers are about to do. Save me. Send an angel right now to intervene. I need some divine intervention and pull me out of this situation right now because I don't want to go through this. If he had prayed that and God would have answered him, that would have stopped him from his great destiny that we all know was the wonderful ending to his story. Everything that he accomplished, everything that he went through, how he was able to bless his family and be a type of a savior for them so that they didn't perish from the famine, all because the Lord allowed him to go through that uncomfortable time in his life, that trial, right? That betrayal. So that betrayal was key for all the blessings that would come later. And then he said the same thing for Jesus. Or actually, I think this is just my own thoughts I wrote down. I heard the Spirit tell me this was the same for Jesus. Had God protected Jesus from Judas and Judas's betrayal, that would have kept him from his destiny and the destiny of the whole world. That's huge. So if God would have said, you know what, I don't like what Judas is about to do. I don't think that's right. I love my son. I'm going to save him right now. I'm going to send in some divine intervention, and I'm not going to allow this to happen. I'm going to stop Judas from being able to do this. If that would have happened, then he wouldn't have completed everything that he did on behalf of the whole world. He saved us. He's our Savior. And that would have been frustrated if God would have intervened. And so there was purpose and wisdom, great purpose in that betrayal. Okay, so this is kind of everything that's been playing on my mind the last few days. Wow, this is great. Everything that I thought was going horribly wrong in my life and difficult has actually been for my good, has actually been blessings. They've been blessings. And it's just changing everything in my life right now as I've been looking at it that way. And now I'm getting excited. Okay, what's around the corner? And that's funny because people reached out to me and said the same thing. They said, what's going on in your life? You must have something around the corner that God knows about that's going to be awesome and Satan knows about, and he's worried. So he is trying to stop you. He's trying to deplete you of your joy, steal your happiness, rob you of your energy. He's trying to pull you down and make you feel exhausted and drained and just not wanting to do anything but sleep. He's trying to bring you down so low. It must be for a reason. He must be feeling desperate. He must know something that's about to happen to you, or that you're about to experience, or that you're about to be a part of, or something that's you're gonna do amazing with, that's gonna be a great benefit for someone, or you, or your family. And he knows this, and he's trying to stop it. But at the same time, the Lord is allowing him to do this for a time because it's going to bring you into something greater. So you kind of have to go through this. So as I thought about that, and people pointed that out to me as well, I thought, oh my goodness, of course. This is the weekend that our Believers Building Bridges tour launches. This weekend. I'm flying to Missouri tomorrow. And I feel great things are going to happen there. It's going to be the beginning of something amazing that's just going to grow and grow and grow. And I have been so excited for this. It feels like I've waited so long for this weekend to come. And now I can see why Satan is trying to do everything he can all at once, and why I'm feeling blindsided by all these blows, because he sees what's so close. It's almost there. I'm almost there, and I don't know if I'm going to go through some incredible spiritual experiences this weekend. I don't know if, anything's possible, but I just know that it's going to be good. I've had this great feeling about it for months and months. I've been excited. It's the unknown. I'm just excited to meet all these people I've never met in person yet. Our entire ministry team and lots of leaders from other churches. We're all coming together, trying to create this unity, and I'm just so excited to do that. And I can see why the adversary does not want me to be a part of that, does not want me to help bring that about. So it makes sense. It definitely makes sense now. All right. So Joel went on to say a couple more things I wanted to share with you. He said, trust what God is doing. And it was like he was speaking just to me. That always happens. God always uses Joel Osteen to get a message to me. And it's funny, I know there's a lot of people who don't like Joel Osteen, and they think that he preaches too much prosperity or whatever, but I'm telling you, he's great for inspiration and he's great for uplifting, because whenever I'm having a moment or a day, the Lord always sends me at the right time to one of his videos or his sermons on the radio, and they just come on at the right time, and he's speaking to me exactly what I'm going through in the moment. But he said, trust what God is doing. Trust that God is in control. Process is painful. He compared it to birth, to giving labor, or going into labor and giving birth. He said the process of going into labor and giving birth is painful, but the purpose is worth it. And he said it's sort of like when you give birth, and a month later you're looking at your sweet little baby and you're thinking, I want another one of these. And then a few years later you have another one, and you're not thinking in that moment about all the pain that you went through and how hard it was and how painful it was. You're just thinking about all the blessings that came after that. You're thinking of the beautiful baby, the beautiful addition to your family, and all the joy that child has brought into your life, and you want more of that joy, even if it means going through pain to get it again. But we sort of forget about the pain, and we just remember the joy and how good that feels. And so he compared it to that. And I loved that analogy. And he said, let's see, he said, oh, he was talking, the reason it was called, his sermon was called When the Water Breaks, is he had this awesome analogy. He was talking about Hurricane Harvey, because he's in the Houston, Texas area. And so he talked about Hurricane Harvey and everything that they went through in the community. And, you know, the water broke and there was flooding everywhere. But he compared that to giving birth. And when the water breaks, it's scary in that moment when your water breaks. If you've ever had that happen before, right? It's bittersweet. It's scary because you know, uh-oh, something big's about to happen. I better get to the hospital quick. And it could start getting real painful here in a minute. That's a sign, right? That's when the contractions are going to start. But at the same time, you know that something awesome is just moments away. You're about to meet your baby. You're about to receive some of your greatest blessings. And so it's like bittersweet. It's scary, but it's exciting. And so he compared that with the community in Texas, in Houston, in that area, and what they went through and how Hurricane Harvey was difficult. But the blessings far surpassed all the trouble they went through to receive those blessings that came after. And he said, you know, God will allow your peace to be disrupted. He will allow that. God is a good God. He is for you. He's not against you. He is always for you. He's on your team. And he'll use that discomfort to launch you to a new level because he loves you. And the enemy who sent the storm to harm you, he said God saw that storm coming and he already had a plan on how he was going to use that storm to launch you to a new level. I love that. And it was like in that moment when I was driving, the light bulb came on and I felt so much peace and so much comfort with everything going on around me. And I thought, yes, I am grateful. I'm grateful for these trials that are showing me where my faith really is, that are showing me how strong my faith is. And, you know, that's going to launch me to a greater level of joy. So I am surprisingly, I am really embracing all that's happened to me this week in a good way. And I'm in a good place right now, and I'm loving it. So just wanted to share that with you. Okay, a couple more things he said. He said, oh, I love this. He said, giving birth is uncomfortable. It's never comfortable, right? But he said, that's the truth. God is birthing something new. You know God's about to birth something new in your life when you start to experience some discomfort, right? When things are always just staying the same, there's never any shakings, everything's just quiet and the same day in and day out. Well, God's kind of quiet in your life. Everything's just peaceful and quiet, right? But when the tremors start to come or the birth pains start to come, you know God is about to birth something new for you. So no matter how painful it is to go through it, just trust that you're going to come out into something new and something better. And we've been talking about that lately in our video messages about how 2020 is the year that God will be birthing something new. That is the year of his perfect vision. And we know that the millennium, that will be the birth of a new age. And there's just so much circling around that word birth right now. We've talked about that a lot. And I really believe that the Lord is preparing us for the millennium. He's preparing us for his return. And that's why we're going through these birth pains right now. We're not just going through them on a personal level, but we're seeing the whole nation go through them right now. We're seeing people in our families, people in our church go through them right now. We're seeing countries all over the world and communities everywhere being shaken up by different things that are really trying their faith. And it's not comfortable, but it's preparing them for something new that's coming later. So it's just amazing how that's happening everywhere right now. All right, so I was going to talk about how I had mentioned, some of you who follow me know about this, and I just briefly mentioned a little bit ago that I've had some interesting experiences with YouTube and Facebook. I've mentioned before that Facebook is censoring our Believers Building Bridges Tour Facebook page, and we figured that out one day. We figured it out one day and we did some tests, and sure enough, people weren't seeing the events that we were posting and sharing on there, and they were getting censored. So we had to get creative and find different ways to share those events. But yeah, a lot of people were saying, I never see your page, and when you post something, I don't see it. When I try to find it, it's kind of difficult. And so we did some tests and we realized that we were being censored, and I talked about that before. And if you don't know what that is, if you've not heard about what's going on with that, I'm going to put some links down below at the end of this video. Fox News did a couple of stories on it, and it really brings into the light what's really happening with people who are trying to have a voice. Conservatives, Christians, people on the right that are trying to have a voice are being silenced by the left, and it's not something I like to talk about a lot. It's not something that's pretty, but it's true. It's happening, and now I'm experiencing it, so it's not so fun to go through, but I've never experienced anything like this before. And I just experienced it with my YouTube channel. I'm just going to quickly tell you what that's all about. You probably saw me post something earlier this week that said my comments have been disabled. That was another blindsided thing that happened. I didn't even see it coming. Usually when YouTube makes a drastic change to your channel, you'll get a warning about it. You'll get an alert, a notification, and an email telling you on this date, we're about to do something really big that's going to make a lot of people upset, but here's why we're doing it, and here's when you can expect it to end, and here's when you can expect it to get better. And you usually get something like that. But this, there was no warning. Just tens of millions of YouTube channels instantly just had all their comments disabled on every single video on their channel. But what's crazy is, as I started going through and reading, I did a search on YouTube for people who were having this happen to them and kind of wanted to see the conversations that were going on about this. And I went to a lot of big channels, like family vlogger channels that have a lot of subscribers, and they were all saying, no big deal, no big deal. All you have to do is go back in to each of your videos and just turn the comments back on. And yes, YouTube has warned that if you do this, there could be some repercussions or consequences with your channel. But so far, everyone's been doing it. They haven't had any problems, and everyone's back in business, right? They're back with everything functioning the way it should. Well, that wasn't the case for me. I found that when I went into each of my videos, there was a block on it. It was locked. I was not even allowed to switch it. So it would show the little option, turn your comments back on, and I would click on it, and it would show me, yep, you did it, but then it would revert right back. So I'd click yes, re-enable my comments, or enable my comments, then I'd click save, go out, go back in, and it's showing again that they're disabled. So I did this on every video, and there was a block on every video. It would not, for the life of me, let me change that, which is hard because a big part of my channel is the interaction that I have with people who watch my videos. I've had so many people reach out to me just through the YouTube comments and share links with me or share things they noticed in the video. There's been a lot of great conversations that have started that way. And another thing too, which I've talked about before, is I censor all my comments. So every comment, there is a setting on my channel, it's on my entire channel, that every comment that comes through, it doesn't get published. Nobody sees it until I approve it. So what happens is someone will leave a comment and it will go to a waiting box where all the comments wait, and then when I go in and read them, I can click approve or delete. If I delete it, no one ever sees it. If I approve it, it gets published and it shows up on the page. And that's always worked well for me. It's always been a great way to filter out any negative comments or fighting or unkind words or curse words or any of that, all the things you don't want on your video. So it's always worked really well for me. So what YouTube was saying was they were saying that there was some event that happened. I don't know the details of it, but I don't know if it's a trial that's going on right now or a case, but something to do with some pedophiles who were making comments on channels that had children. So basically any channel out there, even if it just had one video that had a child just for a moment in the video, which is just about every channel, right? They were worried that all those channels would be at risk. So they shut down all the comments immediately and wanted to go in and decide how they were going to, I don't know, how they were going to fix this, I guess, because pedophiles were leaving comments and preying on children and doing whatever pedophiles do, and they were doing it through the comments. But a lot of people were saying, well, that's crazy because we also filter our comments and we approve everything before it's published, and we haven't had a problem with that. So it's strange that, you know, our comments were turned off, but we've turned it back on. We still have the setting and the filter. Everything's fine. And that's never been a problem for me. I've never had any crazy, weird pedophile comments come through on any videos. Once in a while, people will comment on how they don't like my voice on you know, our family videos or whatnot, and that's about the gist of it. That's as mean as it gets, or as crazy as it gets. But other than that, we haven't had a problem with that. But I understand they're trying to keep it safe and protect everyone. But what's so strange about it is everybody was able to go back and get around that and turn back all their comments back on, except for me. So I did a little bit more research, and I found a conversation that was going on a channel, and there was a woman on there who was in my boat, and she said, it's so strange because everyone's able to turn the comments back on, but not me, mine are blocked. And so I clicked on her channel, and I noticed that she does something kind of like what I do. She's a Christian, and she shares a lot of inspiration, Christian inspiration. Her videos are all Christ-centered, and it's all uplifting. She shares a lot of scripture, a lot of wonderful things like that, and her channel was blocked. So then it kind of made me wonder, and I went looking at other channels that were similar, and realized that they had blocks as well. But all the normal secular channels that were just about like fashion and makeup tutorials and just families who like to travel the world or whatever it was, or cooking YouTube channels or whatever it was, they were able to turn their comments back on. And so it started to feel like bullying, like I was being targeted. I was being targeted for the content that my channel puts out, and it was red flagged, but maybe a way to keep it safe for YouTube as a whole. This is just a theory that I have. I could be totally wrong, but it just made me wonder if, you know, if they would have just targeted Christian channels and shut down the voice and shut down the comments of all their viewers and stopped that from happening, then it would have been bullying, and they've gotten in trouble for that before, which you'll see in those videos I'll have links to below. So maybe this was a safer way to do that. Shut down everyone's channel all at once, tens of millions of channels, just shut all the comments down, and then put blocks on the ones that you don't want that you don't want to continue having those conversations and having that voice. But everybody else, allow them to turn back on. So that's what it was feeling like. I couldn't help but think that and feel that. So I reached out to YouTube. You're only allowed to contact YouTube and have access to emailing them if you're a partner. So I'm a partner, and there's a lot of perks that come with being a partner. You get a lot more advantages with your channel and more options and things that you can do with your videos, and it takes a while to get there. So I'm a partner, and I was able to email and reach out to YouTube, and I asked them, why do I have a block on this? How come everyone else is able to do this but not me? And, you know, I've always censored my comments. It's never been a problem. And they emailed me back a cookie cutter response, like someone had just copied and pasted their policy, like something they probably just sent out to everybody that asks. And it was just a cookie cutter response. It wasn't personal at all. It didn't really address my question in detail. And that's what they sent me. So then I wrote back and asked a little bit more. And again, they sent me the exact same cut and paste response, word for word, same thing. And so I wrote back and said, I feel like I'm getting an automated response. I feel like I'm just getting a cookie cutter response and no one's really addressing my concerns or my questions. Will there ever be hope for my comments? Will they ever get enabled again? Now, you'll see that on my new videos, they're allowing for the comments to be on my new videos, but all my past videos are blocked. I don't know why that is. I can't make sense of that. I did see that other lady that I talked about, she said that some of her newer videos got blocked again, so now you can't come on her newer videos. So I'm not sure what's going on, but it just doesn't feel right. There's something kind of fishy about it. It doesn't feel like what they're saying it is. It just feels a little bit off to me. And so I'm kind of feeling I'm kind of feeling what I mentioned earlier, just sort of that bullying, just being blindsided by the adversary. And I can see how the adversary is working really hard to shut down our voice, to make us feel inadequate or weak or not strong enough or depleted of our energy to go out and do what we were sent here to do at this time in our lives, to do what we came here to do. Pardon me, my son just came home and I realized our door is locked. Hang on one second.
Are you done?
Okay. So anyways, yeah, it just feels like the enemy is working really hard right now to silence everybody who's on the Lord's errand, everybody who's trying to make a difference and do something good in this world and, sort of do what it is that they feel called to do. You can really see the enemy working really hard to stop that. And so the question you have to ask is, why is he working so hard right now? And everything seems to be happening so fast. And I've seen a lot of you comment on that saying, isn't it crazy how fast it's all happening? It's like every day there's something new, something big going down. And it's just happening all the time now. And you have to ask yourself, why is that happening? Why is he working so hard and so diligent at stopping the 311 workers, or anyone for that matter who's trying to do the Lord's will or trying to do something good? Why is he trying to stop that? And it has to be because he knows something that we don't know. He sees what's coming, and he wouldn't be working so hard and so quick to put a stop to that if he had lots of time. If what he saw coming was way out there, he wouldn't be working so hard and so fast. And so that should kind of give us a clue as to not only what the Lord is birthing, but how soon he's going to be birthing it, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm choosing again to look at this in a positive way and to see this as just a witness and a sign of what's coming, what's in store, and just try to focus on that and get excited for that. Because I tell the Lord every day, I trust you. I know your hand is in all things in my life. So whatever happens, whether it seemed good or bad, I know you have a purpose in it. So I'm not going to waste my time being angry or frustrated or complaining or moaning or whatever it may be. I'm just going to trust you and just trust that you know what's best. And as long as I'm trying to do your will, that can only lead to something good, right? So that's where we're at right now. Okay, you guys. Now, let's see. One more little thing that brings all this part of my video to the end of this topic. And then we're going to move on to the second part of the video, which is the news and events that have happened this week, because I like to always talk about that, and then we should be good. But I wanted to just add one more thing to just bring this all home and just give you one more illustration of how this works. So yesterday, I took my son to an acne appointment. We checked him out of school, the last period of the day, so a couple hours before school got out, or an hour and a half or something like that before school got out. And we drove about 25 minutes north to my friend who has an amazing wellness center. She hasn't had her grand opening yet, but you'll hear me talk about it probably. I'll have links to it down below. You'll see some pictures in a minute. But she has this wellness center that she's opening. And she said, well, why don't you come in for an appointment? I just started a new therapy that I do for acne. We can give it a try and see what happens. So we drove all the way up to her. We spent 2 hours at her center, and she did some amazing work on my son. And anyways, when we left, because he had to get to his drum lessons, and then we had a school play we had to go to that we had tickets for, so we had a lot going on. And when we were driving, and it was a big rainstorm, if you'll remember, if you live in Utah, or if you live up north, it was a big rainstorm yesterday, and the freeway had water everywhere, and traffic was crazy. I believe there was accidents. It was just one of those days. And we were driving in a blinding rainstorm. I could barely see out my windshield. But we're trying to drive quick because we got to get to his appointment or his drum lessons. And then all of a sudden, right before we exit the freeway, he says, "Mom, oh no, I left my phone at Debbie's Wellness Center. Oh no." And I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to have time to drive north again, 25 minutes north, and get that phone. And then, 25 minutes back. That's almost an hour out of my day. We have so much going on. I don't think that's going to happen. Tomorrow's the last day I could do that, and I wanted to do this video, and I have to do lots of laundry, get my house clean, get packed, get ready to go to Missouri. Why did this have to happen, right? And he feels really bad, and he needs his phone because he now teaches drum lessons. He has a student who's coming over right now. He's got a lot of students. He's loving that. He's really loving that. But he needed that because that's how his students communicate with them, through the phone. And it's his first week teaching, so he's had lots of people texting him questions and asking for our address. And so he thought, if I don't have my phone, what's going to happen, right? So, anyways, after the high school play, it got over at 9:30. I texted my friend, and I told her earlier in the day, we left his phone at your center. Can you please not leave it there? Because she lives 20 minutes like northwest of me, so still a little bit less than having to drive all the way to the wellness center, but only by like 5 minutes. But I said, when you go home tonight, will you just bring his phone with you and I'll come out to your home and get it? And she said, sure, I can do that. So at 9:30, the play got over, and again, it's still raining, it's dark. I didn't really have dinner yesterday. I never had time for it. They all had dinner, but I just was going here and there, and I was hungry. I was tired. It was wet. I'd been out in the rain all day, and now I had to drive in the dark 20 minutes and get his phone and come back. But as I'm driving down this road, and I'm out of gas, so I've got to get out in the rain and get gas. And as this is all happening, I'm thinking, okay, Lindsay, happy lady, take your advice. What did you just say today? What did the Lord just tell you today? So don't forget, right? This is another reminder to show the Lord that you haven't forgotten what He just taught you today. So again, I start to feel happy and peaceful about the whole situation. And I thought, yes, okay, look for the good. Why is He doing this? What's the purpose for this, right? And I thought about it, okay, I am driving alone in my car without any kids, with no one. I have 20 minutes there and 20 minutes back. That's a total of 40 minutes of alone time in my car. When was the last time I had alone time? Between the kids being out of school and all the surgeries, I have not had alone time in a long time. And so I thought, oh my goodness, the Lord used this as an opportunity for me to have 40 minutes of one-on-one time just with Him, with no interruptions, because He wants to share some things with me, and He wants to hear from me, and we need to get ready together for what's coming this weekend. Oh my gosh, hello! So I was so excited, I was so happy, and we had an awesome conversation. I talked to the Lord all the way there, all the way back, and it was wonderful. And then I couldn't help but be grateful that my son left his phone in Ogden. So that was a great opportunity to show the Lord, I get it. I get it. Always look for your hand in all things. Always look for you, because you're always going to be there, and you always have a plan, and everything's always for my benefit. So just trust in that and look for that, and He'll show it to you. Okay. All right, enough said about that, you guys, but are you feeling it too? Have you had those experiences and thoughts and feelings as well? I would love to hear from you, so let me know. All right, now I want to move on to happenings and things that have been in the news. I want to wrap this up here in 20 minutes or less if I can. So I'm going to start by showing you all my pictures. If you're a member of our group, the 11th Hour Workers, then you've seen some of these pictures. But I want to bring up something that we've been talking about over the last week or two in our group. And let me actually show you this picture first. Okay, those of you who are in our group, you saw this picture. And I didn't ask for permission, so I'm not going to say her name, but one of our awesome friends in that group had an incredible experience. And she shared it in a video, a couple of videos. She just got back from Rome, she went to go see the temple open house over there and had an amazing experience. And her story was so incredible. I watched both videos and I was just in awe. I know a lot of you were too. And I wish I could share all of what happened to her, but we don't have time. So I'm just going to show this picture. She said, it was so interesting. My husband and I took this picture and we saw in the clouds an eagle. It looks like an eagle with its wings spread, flying. I asked her what direction that was, and she said it was flying from the east. It was coming in from the east. And I really felt the significance to that. And, you know, everyone was saying the same thing. It feels like that means something. That means something pretty significant. Well, not even a day later or so, someone texted me or messaged me this picture. I don't know if you can see that. Right above the white car, if you go straight up, you'll see a bird's head. It's another eagle. It looks like it's looking to the left. It has its wings spread. And again, someone took a picture of that and said that this person wasn't even related to our group. This person was in another group on Facebook and said, hey, I just happened to notice this picture or this cloud formation in the sky that looks like an eagle. I feel that it means something significant. So there it was, 2 back-to-back pictures of eagles in the clouds, just a day apart, right? And so this is really interesting too. This came, let's see, I think, was it today or yesterday? Someone shared this just in time for me to share in this video. But this was, I believe, also over Rome. And they're saying it looks like Jesus because he's got his arms outstretched. But I think it also looks like an angel. So I'm not quite sure. But I'd like to hear your thoughts about it as well. But they're just saying, you know, the clouds broke through, the sunlight came, and it looked like Jesus or an angel just right over Rome. There's definitely something going on, and the Lord's trying to get our attention through messages in the sky especially. And we know that we've been told in the scriptures, they teach us that signs will come in the heavens and in the sky, and that will give us a clue as to, you know, the signs preceding his coming. And we're just seeing it happen everywhere. It's so amazing. So amazing. So, let me get back to the camera here. So I wanted to start with that, and if any of you have also been hearing a lot about eagles lately or seeing eagles, I'd love to hear from you. I heard in my mind the minute I saw the first picture of the eagle, and I said this on Facebook, I heard in my mind, the eagle has landed. And I couldn't even think off the top of my head where that was coming from. And as I thought about it, I thought, I think that's from a movie about going to space. Okay, I think it's about the moon landing. Somebody said the eagle has landed. It just came into my mind, and that's what I heard. So I wrote that down in my notes. The eagle has landed. Well, not too long after that, somebody in our group also shared some videos, which I'll have links to down below. And they shared these videos of Hopi prophecy. So it was a Hopi native sharing prophecy from his people, and it was about eagles. He was talking about the eagle, so it had my attention. And just so you know, those videos are numbered kind of strange, so it'll look like there's videos that are missing, but they're not. I don't know how that happened, how they did that, but it'll say like video 1, 2, 3, and 5 or something, or they skip video 4, but it all flows smoothly, so don't worry about it. Just watch the videos in order, and it's just amazing what he shares. So this video that they recorded this video in 1985. I was just a little kid. In 1985, he spoke, and they recorded this video of his people's prophecy and his thoughts about that, and it's amazing. And I just want to share with you a few things that he said in those videos. And of course, if you have time, I recommend watching all of it. I'll also have some links to more about the same topic if you want to check that out. But he talked about it, and he said, you know, our people, we noticed, and then he talked about it. In fact, I've got a picture right here I'll show you. Right here. He said the American seal has an eagle on it, and if you'll notice, in one talon, in the right talon, you have the peace offering, you have the olive branch, And then in the left talon, you have arrows. You have 13 arrows. And he said, according to our people and what we believe, we're told that the 13 arrows represent the 13 states, but he said it also represents the enslavement of the native people. And that's why they're arrows. The arrows represent the natives. And so you have these 13 free states, or these 13 states where people have come for freedom, right? Seeking freedom. But at the same time, you have people who their freedoms are being taken away, and they've gone into enslavement. So he was talking about that. And he said, in our prophecy, it speaks of that one day the eagle will fly so high that it will land on the moon. And that's what he said. And then he said, we know in 1969, we had the eagle that landed on the moon. I've got a picture for you guys. Let's see right here. He said the moon landing happened in 1969, and it was commemorated with this, with a picture of the eagle that only had the peace offering in both claws. So it had the olive branch. The arrows were gone, and it was just the olive branch, and it was a peace commemoration. And he said that the elders, the Hopi elders, noticed that, and they said that that was prophecy for them, saying that when this happens, that would mean that they have been released. The elders have been released. What's interesting is I went to find an image of this, and I noticed, I found this one right here, it says 1969 to 2019. It is the 50th anniversary this year of Apollo 11. 11, there's the 11th hour. I did not even know that, you guys. I just figured that out today as I was assembling these images for my video. Crazy, right? I don't know, I thought that was pretty crazy. So he talked about that, and he said that's prophecy for us. But I find it so interesting that it's the 50th anniversary this year, and this is the year that President Trump said they're sending people back into space. They're sending a team back into space again, and it hasn't been done. I want to say they're going to the moon. I believe that's what they said, which hasn't been done since 1969. So it's a big deal. But I didn't realize it was the 50th anniversary, so that was crazy. Okay, well then, as I was checking all this out, I came across this article. NASA could have people living on the moon in 8 years, and that's just the beginning. I'll have a link to that if you're curious and you want to see more about that. But that was pretty crazy. Just so much going on right now that I wasn't even aware of. Okay, let me go back to the camera real quick. So he went on to talk more about that, and he said, okay, so when you, and this is back in 1985, and he says, okay, so as you start to see these things happen, these are some signs that our people are looking for. And he explained, he said, he talked about a racial uprising that's coming, and he said, you know, the 60s were pretty crazy, right? But he said there will be one more racial uprising, and these were his words. He said, in the next racial uprising, blacks will be released. So he said the elders have been released and the blacks will be released. And he didn't go into a lot of detail about that. But then he said, when the eagle, the prophecy has always told them that when the eagle lands on the moon, the powers will come back to the natives. So where that happened in 1969, that was prophecy fulfilled for them, that their powers were returning. Okay, then he said that there will come a time, there's been 2 great shakings. The first great shaking, World War I, the second great shaking, which was World War II, and the earth will be shaken a 3rd time, World War III. And I read in the Hopi prophecy that they consider this a spiritual conflict, so sort of like a spiritual war, but it's being manifested in the physical. And he said around that time of this 3rd shaking, there will be a house in the sky. It's called the house in the sky prophecy. He said when you see people permanently living in a house in the sky, that's when the earth will be shaken the 3rd time. That's when you know it's coming. And it's so funny because he said they believe that that house in the sky will happen in 1996. So this is them back in 1985 speaking about the future. So I thought, well, I wonder what he's talking about. What could have happened in around 1996? So I got thinking about it, and then it came the International Space Station. A house in the sky, people living on it, right? So he said, let's see, so let me show you some pictures. I got some images real quick. Let's do this one. So I found these articles and I underlined some things. And it's funny because when I took a screenshot of this, I didn't even realize it till today. I took it exactly at 11:30 p.m. And it's funny because I realized next year in the year 2020, it will be the 20th anniversary of this space station, which I had no idea. So it says right here in this article, the International Space Station began in 1998, so pretty close to 1996. So they began assembling it back in 98. And then, according to this part of the article, it says that after 2 years later, the first crew, Expedition 1, arrived, entering on November 2nd, 2000. Then, there's a little bit more I want to show you real quick. Let me switch out my pictures. Okay, later on in the article, this is kind of interesting because it says launch of the first crew, and then it gives a different date, October 31st, 2000, so just a couple days earlier. So I'm not sure why the dates are different there. But either way, the year is 2000, and next year is 2020, so it will be the 20th anniversary. We've talked about that number 20, lots of 20th anniversaries coming up on different things we've talked about in past videos. It just feels that there's really something going on there. There's really something to that, and just something else that's trying to get our attention. And so it'll be the 20th anniversary of the house in the sky, which fulfilled Hopi prophecy. And it says, I have an article, I did not take a screenshot of this, so I will just show you guys. I will just have a link to this down below, but I read in one article about this topic, and it said that it's believed that the seventh seal opened in the year 2000, which, according to Latter-day Saints, according to our doctrine, we learned in the Book of Doctrine and Covenants from Revelation, received by the prophet Joseph, that a seal is 1,000 years. Does that sound right? I don't have that written down in my notes, so I hope I'm saying that right. But we learned about a seal, and I talked in a past video about the belief that the seventh seal was opened in the year 2000, and the half hour of silence ends, was it in the year 2020 or 2021? I forget. If someone's out there listening and you remember, please comment. But anyways, that half hour of silence is about to come to an end, which is really interesting because in this article it said the same thing, that the year 2000 opened up the seventh seal. This was connected to Hopi prophecy, which aligned with the things that I've been finding and sharing in my videos. So I thought that was really interesting. And so then he said between the years 1999 and 2001, the Earth's axis is going to shift. So this is way back in 1985 when he's saying this. He says around the year 1999 into 2001, we're going to see the Earth shift. And we're going to see everything go into a new direction, which there's a lot of symbolism behind that. There's a lot of spiritual things behind that. So I took some screenshots. Let me show you this as well, real quick. Right here, I found in this article, scientists have been recording the drift in direction since 1899, but between 1999 and 2001, the Earth's axis started to move in a new direction. That new direction can only be explained by the lost ice mass of Greenland. So they go on to talk about their theory behind that, but there it is. Between 1999 and 2001, the Earth's axis started to move in a new direction, right? That's key right there, new direction. Okay, let me show you this image. This title of this article is Melting Ice is Causing the Earth's Axis to Shift Direction. So again, there it is, shifting directions. We're shifting directions as an entire planet. We're heading into something new. Okay, and then something that I really liked. Let's see, let me show you this. All right, before I switch over to that real quick, he said one more thing. He said, what we call, or sorry, what you call, what the rest of the world calls the apocalypse, we actually have a different word for it. We call it purification. And I thought that was awesome. And so I found right here some more talking about the Hopi prophecy. I took a screenshot, and it just said, the third world shaking event will be recognized by a red cloak or red covering. And then I thought it was interesting how it talked about the trees dying. And I don't know if you remember that video I did last year, how I discovered that the trees were dying because of the pine beetle. All the pine trees were dying. And I remember I shared numbers in that video, and I don't know if it's changed since then, but I shared numbers on how many trees had died in British Columbia and along the northwestern part of the United States, all because of this devastating pine beetle that was destroying all the trees, and how there was symbolism in that for Satan trying to destroy the family. Anyway, so that caught my attention, that the trees will die around this time. And so the thing that he ended with that I absolutely loved, at the end of the video, he ended it by saying, arise, awake, and go forth. And I loved that, because that sums up everything. That's what we need to be doing right now in this hour. We need to wake up, we need to arise, and we need to go forth and do what it is we were sent here to do. I love that. It goes perfectly with that theme of rise up. And that's how he ended the video. So I'm sure there's a lot more in that I didn't have time to ponder. So if anything stood out to you, or you've had a chance to read through those articles that I'll be sharing and something catches your attention, please share. I love it when you share. All right. So a couple more things came to my mind about the eagle. I thought about in the book of Revelation, chapter 4, how it talks about the eagle, the lion, the man, and the beast. And I do have an image for that I want to show you. And so that definitely caught my attention. Here's the scripture. I'm just going to read verse 7. It says, and the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, or an ox, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was flying like an eagle. And I thought it was funny that the last beast mentioned is an eagle that's flying. There it is again, the flying eagle. I loved that, you guys. And then a couple more images I want to show you. Let's see. So I pulled up some images of people who have done graphic art with these four beasts. And this is from a website where, you know, they talk about the rapture and things like that. But I just wanted to show this image, so I just took this. But it was interesting how they said it also represents, and I know we've heard this, the four corners of the earth. But I thought it was interesting on here, it says, the four corners of the earth in the age of Aquarius, from the year 2000. And I don't know why, but it says to 41,060 AD. I'm not sure what that's about, but it caught my attention at the year 2000. So you have these four beasts representing four different creatures, representing the four corners of the earth. And let me show you. Let's do this one here. Then you go to the book of Ezekiel, and he talks about something similar. He talks about the four faces that he saw, the four creatures. You've got the eagle, the lion, the man, and the beast or the ox. So he talks about this as well. So there's definitely something to that. I just feel some kind of a connection. I haven't had a lot of time to ponder on this, so I just wanted to share this to see if there's anything that catches your attention or anything that comes to mind for you. I'd love to hear from you about that. But definitely something with the book of Revelation, the book of Ezekiel, something connected to that eagle. And there's definitely something on the horizon with that. And so, in fact, I'm going to share with you now. I forgot about this. I found a website that talked a little bit about this. So I just copied and pasted something from there. I'm just going to read it to you real quick. But it said, the four faces of the four animals, or cherubim, correspond to the, let's see if I can say that, iconography of the Babylonian zodiac. Each represents a seasonal constellation in Babylonian astrology. And each face or constellation also represented one of the 4 directions, north, south, east, and west, or quadrants of the sky. Babylonians knew that the heavens were connected to what happened on the earth, the times, the seasons, the crops, the weather, etc., and they believed that their gods controlled those functions. Information about the stars was laid out on Mesopotamian astrolabes, clay tablets, whose, concentric circles could well correspond to the wheels within wheels imagery. Also interesting to note is that they are listed in order. Now, I thought it said that they weren't listed in order, but I'm reading word for word. It says that they are listed in the order that they would have appeared in 10,000 BC. So they are listed in order, not as they appear now in the current era. The vernal or spring equinox appeared in the precessional epoch of Leo the Lion at the dawn of time, which fell roughly between 10,000 BC and 8,000 BC. So that is why the first living creature with the face is the face of a lion, and that's why it's listed first. Fascinatingly, Leo is considered to be the last omega, or ending sign in the circle of the zodiac, and a symbol of Yeshua, or Christ, coming in glory as the King of Kings to conquer the wicked and set up his 1,000-year reign from Jerusalem. But it can also be connected to the beginning of time. This alludes to the fact that Yeshua, our Messiah, is the first and the last, and the beginning and the end of all things, just as Christ is referred to in the book of Revelation several times. Next, the second living creature with the face of a calf, or an ox, corresponds to Taurus, however you say it, tomato, tomato, the bull, which housed the spring equinox at the time that Adam and Eve were created. Taurus and its neighboring sign Gemini, the twins, govern the lands where mankind first appeared on the earth and where the Garden of Eden was located. But today they are connected to Alaska and Hawaii. This also reveals that Taurus is rightly connected to the beast from the sea rather than the beast from the earth. Let's see. Let me skip over some of this. Or truth may be that Taurus, whose horns are connected to the patriarch Joseph's 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and that the nations connected to them today actually represents both. The third living creature with the face of a man corresponds to Aquarius, the water bearer. Since the sun now technically rises in the sign of Aquarius at the dawn of the spring equinox, the sign appears eastward on the corresponding map that I will introduce later in this article. But at the dawn of time, Leo held that position. Interestingly, this means that the precessional age of Aquarius will govern the next 2,000 years of human history. Excuse me, which will include the millennial rule of Christ and the first 1,000 years of history in the new heaven and new earth. Anyways, I'll have a link to this article. It's interesting. Take it for what it's worth, but it just laid out some things that I hadn't thought about before. Finally, the fourth living creature with the face of an eagle, this is what I wanted to get to, corresponds to Scorpio, the scorpion. There is a threefold reason why Scorpio is represented with an eagle's face instead of the face of a scorpion. First of all, Scorpio signifies the wicked actions of the devil against the sons of and the daughters of the living God, Yahweh, those who are the brothers and sisters of his son, Yeshua. Since it signifies wickedness at its worst, it will not be represented in the sky of the new heaven and the new earth. In the new heaven, Scorpio will literally be taken out of the zodiac and replaced with the symbol of the eagle, whose wings signify God's loving protection of his born-again spiritual children. In fact, the replacement for the scorpion will be the constellation sign of Aquila, the eagle, which is currently a deacon sign of Capricorn, the goatfish, signifying the salvation and deliverance of Noah and his sons with the ark during the Great Flood. And lastly, it just says, curiously, the symbol of the eagle in Aquila is also tied directly to the national seals of both Mexico and the United States of America, which both prominently feature proud and mighty eagles. Okay. So much to ponder on that, but I just wanted to throw that in. Maybe we'll talk more about that next time. But again, I'd love to hear from you if you want to add to that and expand upon that. Okay, so just a few more things and we're done. We talked about over the last week, there's been a lot more earthquakes picking up. And we talked about, in my last video, I talked about the ghost town, the retail stores closing down everywhere. Since that video, even more chains have been closing down and announcing their permanent closure of all stores or just a lot of their stores and locations. And people keep sending me articles that pop up daily about this, about more and more businesses and stores that are shutting their doors. And it's just really, I just feel like it's part of that shift. We're getting away from all these businesses. I don't know if it's because, my mind has played around with this. And I thought, well, maybe the Lord really needs to put people where He needs them. And if there's a lot of people working for these businesses and running these companies, and the Lord's saying, time's up, we don't need to focus on these big businesses and growing. I need you over here and over there helping me with what's coming next. So He's setting up the ponds, right? He's strategically putting people where He needs them. And if it means losing jobs and relocating and shutting things down to get people to move and get them where He needs them lined up for what's coming, then that's how it must be. So I thought about that. And then I thought about another thing too, that it's going to be a new world, so it's not going to be the same. We're not going to have the same businesses and companies on the earth. Everything's going to be different. And so it's kind of preparing us to make that shift. That's the way I choose to look at it. Okay, another thing I've thought about is, the news reports will say, and a lot of people are saying, that it definitely is an omen for what's to come with the economy, that these signs don't look good as far as the economy is concerned. And I got thinking about it, and I thought about how with every major economic crisis, especially in the United States, so really just focusing on the United States, it always happened at the end of a decade. Whether it was, the 2008 crisis, then we had the 1929, the Great Depression. So always at the end of a decade, I pulled up a website and I went through the list of all the great financial different events that we had where we had financial collapse, and it always was at the end of a decade. Even worldwide, I found a lot of those events happened at the end of a decade, and here we are approaching the end of a decade. And I'm not saying that to bring up fear or uncertainty. I just really feel like something's on the horizon. Things are changing and shifting to prepare us for this new vision that the Lord is birthing, this new vision that we're being pulled into. So whatever happens this year and whatever happens next year, everything that comes our way, we just need to choose to see it in a positive light and realize that God's still in control. He knows what He's doing. He has a plan, and this is part of it. So I'm choosing to trust Him, and I invite you to join me in just keeping the faith and choosing to trust instead of choosing fear, right? Okay, so a couple more things you guys shared in our groups. Let me share this one right here. This was a pretty big deal. Somebody posted this in our group. It's a news article, and it says, "Unusual flood hits Jerusalem, breaks wall, biblical changes coming, signs of the last days." And I went into the article and read more details, and it talks about how it broke the wall that separates, Jerusalem from Palestine. Anyways, there's been that wall of separation, and this wall came down, and there's a lot of spiritual symbolism in that. It's symbolizing what the Lord is going to do, what He's about to do. Everything that happens in the physical is a manifestation of what's going on in the spiritual. And that's exactly what this article talked about. So I'm choosing to see this as another positive sign. And there's just so many out there. If we had time, we could do a whole video just about all these events. But just a couple more I wanted to share with you. Let's do these ones right here. I've noticed a lot of records, and remember when I say, whenever you notice or hear a record, it means something. Pay attention. So here we have records. Let's see, this first one is from the Weather Channel, and it just says, Death Valley, America's driest location, was swamped by flooding Wednesday morning. And I read that article, and it says it continues to happen, but prior to this flooding, it was something that never happened. And if you've ever been to Death Valley, you understand what this means. When I was 8 years old, our car broke down in Death Valley, and that was pretty scary. So that really stood out to me, as well as this one. Winter 2018 to 19 was the wettest on record in the United States. I can agree to that. I don't know about you. And then this one here, focus down here where I have it underlined. It says another cross-country storm, and this was from yesterday. So we have another storm that's going across the entire country. Now I'm looking at the spiritual symbolism in that there is another storm coming that's affecting the entire nation spiritually. So be prepared for what's coming, guys. Be prepared spiritually for what's happening spiritually. All right, couple more real quick. Let's see, let's do this one. Actually, I'm just going to quickly go back to the camera real fast. The last thing, I guess I didn't get a picture of this. I thought I did, but you know, we just had those tornadoes in the south that were deadly. And somebody pointed out, I think it was in a video that I watched, somebody pointed out that you have the tornadoes in the south, and at the same time you have this cold coming from the north. So you have these cold storms in the north, and the tornadoes in the south, north and south. And he said that's symbolic of civil war. We are at civil war right now in this nation. And it may look different than the last civil war that we have. We don't see people going around with cannons, right? Wearing uniforms and, you know, representing sides that way. But we're seeing it happen on different frontiers. We're seeing, I'm experiencing it on Facebook and YouTube and social media. We're seeing civil wars happen quite a bit on social media. We're seeing it happen just in the media in general. Every time I turn on the news, I'm hearing about some kind of civil war, but with all the issues that we so much disagree on with the left and the right, it's really becoming more divided as far as where we stand, as far as those issues. Seems like years ago it used to be more gray. You could consider yourself as someone on the left, but still support some of the values and ideals of the right, vice versa, right? But now it's like if you're on the left, it's hardcore everything that the left stands for, which is moving further and further away from what it used to be. And if you're on the right, you're becoming even stronger in what you stand for. And we're seeing that a lot with abortion. So we're seeing this civil war going on right now, and it is crazy how the adversary is using that, but at the same time we know that the Lord takes everything that the adversary sends and uses it for good. So we know, we've talked about in past videos, that this great division that's coming, the Lord is going to use it to bring about great unity. And that's what I want to focus on. Okay, guys, just going to end with a few more images here. These are the numbers I've been seeing this week. I just wanted to share with you real quick. I've been seeing a lot of the 111s, and almost daily. So here's another one, 111. I sent a video to my sister, and it happened to be at 111. And again, that number just is a reminder of unity, being one with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, just that unity that we need to be in right now. And I'm just seeing it everywhere. This is funny. I was looking at meditation videos because one of the things that's going to help my son with his acne is, of course, he's experiencing some stress right now. And so, you know, it was suggested that he spend more time meditating. And when I pulled up meditation music, look at this. Look at these numbers, you guys. 11111111 everywhere. It was like screaming at me. And there's 3 threes. Be one. Become one. Take that time to be quiet with the Lord and become one with Him and become one with His will. Then again, there was, here's another one. Another one. We did another search later, got different videos, and again, they're all 11111. There's those numbers again. And it's funny because you can see off to the side here, there's the number 311. 311 workers need to be one in this final hour. And then down here at the bottom, 24. It's almost the 24th hour. It's almost midnight. When it's midnight, it'll be too late. We have to become one with the Lord before it's too late, before it's midnight. All right, couple more. I'm just going to show you real quick. Let's do this one. I love this. So my son was on the treadmill a week ago. He was working out, and he got off the treadmill, and I walked in to use it after him, and I saw he had burnt 113 calories, and that's the number that was on there. And so I wrote on the screenshot, Gabe finished. And I didn't even think about what that could mean. I just wrote, he finished running. That's what this picture is. But now I'm thinking, okay, Gabe finished. He's about to embark on why he's here. That's how I feel about our youth right now. They're getting ready for the big finish. They're about to finish what they came here to do. And after I had that thought, then I see on my phone, there's his face. I did a screenshot. It happened to be March 3rd, so you have the 33, seeing that number everywhere. So you got the 33 and the 111. There it is again, a reminder. And I'm thinking about my son, that this is a message about him. And then, let's see, let me show you this one. Right after this happens, I send a text to my friend who has the wellness center, and I'm saying, hey, I'd like to make an appointment for Gabe about his acne. I happened to send it to her at 1:44 p.m. Right when I saw that, I heard in my mind, he is one of the 144,000. Our youth are part of that 144,000. And he has a great mission ahead of him, and this trial that he's going through with his acne is helping prepare him for that. And that's funny because Debbie said the same thing. She was talking to him and she said, you know, it's important that you don't beat yourself up over this trial that you're going through with your acne, because the Lord will use it. He's using it for your good. Somehow it's for your good. And you won't understand it till years later. You may never understand it at all in this lifetime. But everything that happens to us, the Lord uses it for our good. So maybe take the time to pray and ask the Lord, what is the purpose of this? What do I need to learn from this? What do you want me to know about this? And so that's why he needs to be doing more meditating, more praying. And so this was a message about him. I love that. And then, this is funny, I went to look up the address of her new center, and look, it's Suite 111. I love that. It doesn't get any better than that. Then we show up, and I had to get a picture of the door. Another message for my son, to become one, for all of us to become one. I just love this. Then I just had to share this real quick. I just blocked out the names and identities, but I have a friend who I have not met in person yet, but I will when I go to Missouri. And he's so awesome. He prefers to keep his identity quiet because he is a musician, and he's in a band, and they work with a lot of famous bands and musicians, and he's a songwriter, and so he is helping us behind the scenes with this whole unity movement, but wants to kind of remain anonymous and kind of under the radar because of his job. But he just got engaged to this amazing lady who I have not met yet, but boy, I listened to her talent. She is the most incredible singer I've ever heard. And this is her right here. And they just got engaged. It was the cutest engagement video I've ever seen. And when I saw this screenshot, he shared a video of her singing, and right there, I saw 11th hour and 144, and they're really young. They're a young couple. And I heard they're a part of the 144,000. I just felt it. They have a powerful mission. And it's funny because I remember him telling me one day, he called me for some advice months ago, and he just said, you know, I just wanted to get some advice from you. I'm in an interesting situation because I'm a Latter-day Saint, and my family, we're a group of well-known, famous Latter-day Saints, and I am in love with a girl who is, I can't remember if she's just born-again Christian or Baptist, but she's not a Latter-day Saint. And he says, not only are we different races, I'm white, she's black, but we're different religions, but we are so in love, and I just feel like I'm supposed to marry her. And we've dated for 4 or 5 years now, and I just feel we're supposed to be together. And their story is so amazing, and she's such an incredible spiritual person. She's so close to the Lord. And I've never met her, and I've never met him in person, but I can't wait to. And I've always felt that they have an amazing destiny. They're going to change the world in amazing ways. They're going to have amazing children. They come from amazing families. And I wish I could share with you more than that. But when I saw this on there, it was a witness to me that they do have a powerful mission. And he definitely is following the Spirit. He's not listening to worries and fears or the adversary or what people might say about, they're coming together in marriage. He's listening to the Spirit, and they're on their path to whatever it is they were sent here to do. I really believe that. And it's such a beautiful story. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Just a couple more things real quick. Let's see. Right here. Okay, I got this invitation for another one of those interfaith unity events here in Utah, and the address caught my attention, 1133. And there it was, and I just loved that. I smiled at that. Just had to share. And then this is something I shared in the last video message. This was a lady that shared some prophetic word that she received about the Super Bowl. Later, when I went to shut that video down, I was closing up my windows on my laptop. I can't believe I didn't even notice. It had 311 responses or likes. And so there it was, another reminder for 311 workers. All right, couple more. This was funny. This is an older video from last year, but it was Joy Behar responding to Vice President Pence. Remember when she apologized for the things that she said about him and his faith and being Christian. And no one ever expected that she would apologize, but she did. And for some reason that video showed up in my feed, and I couldn't help but notice the 111 and the 11. Just a reminder that when we apologize, when both sides of the aisle come together and reconcile, that's how we become one. That's how we have that unity that we need to have right now. It's so important. And then it's funny because in that same feed of videos, I look down and all the videos are showing me 11, 311, 111. Oh my goodness, you just can't make this up. It's just been happening so much lately. These numbers are everywhere. This message is loud and clear that we need to come together, unite, and get to work on what the Lord needs us to do in this final hour. Roll up our sleeves, join together, and get to work despite our differences. Okay, when I was editing our last family video, I had a video clip of my daughter, and it happened to be 3 minutes and 11 seconds long, and I've forgotten what that video clip was about. I know it had to do with this message, but I'll just share that. We'll move on to the next one. My husband and my kids were watching a Jazz game, and I just happened to walk in right when the other team had just scored 111 points, and look at the time, 24. Again, there was that reminder. It's so important to have that unity at midnight. We have to reach that unity and be one with the Lord and with each other by midnight. Time's running out. Last one I want to share with you. I'm going to end on this. This was sent to me on my birthday, I believe. A friend sent this to me. I didn't even realize that. I didn't even circle it, but you'll notice it's my birthday, March 5th. And down here on the likes, there's 113 likes. And it was such a nice little message, a little prophetic word that was given about the abundant harvest. And it was given on my birthday, and there was that number again. And the harvest, again, reminds me of the work that we need to be doing in this final hour, especially for our ancestors, which is what that 113 refers to, pointing us backwards. It's pointing us back towards our ancestors. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you just have to watch my older videos. But we have run out of time, so let me get back to the camera. All right, you guys, that is everything. I think I got it all. But I just had to get that message out. I had to share that with you before I go to Missouri this weekend and before I come back with even more that I know I'm going to want to share with you. I know I'm going to have some amazing experiences there. But this is just so important. It's so important that right now we take whatever spare time we have to get right with the Lord, to put our differences aside, use the atonement, repent, ask the Lord to come into our heart and change us. There comes that sun. to change us of our criticisms and our judging and all the things that are keeping us divided. The Lord wants us to come together in that love and unity so He can use us to do what He needs us to do to bring in this new vision that He's trying to birth for the earth, bringing heaven and earth together. And it's going to be incredible. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that everything happening right now is a manifestation of what the Lord is doing. And I can't help but be excited about that. So I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you'll reach out to me. For those of you who are going to sign off right now, I'm going to get to the comments. So for those of you who sign off right now, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time, and I'd love to hear from you. All right, I'm going to just check on the comments real quick. Oh, wow. Well, it's good there's comments. That means the video worked. Because I wasn't going to mess around with that anymore. I was just trusting that it was working. Let's see. Yay, it's working. Yep. Thanks, guys. You have to laugh. Yes. Melissa says, yes. Super stressful weekend for me, too, with the kids and circumstances. Absolutely. Same with my sister. Her weekend sounded almost worse than mine. So sometimes it's better to hear about other people's experiences so you don't feel so bad about your own, right? It helps yours not seem as bad. Hello. Hello. Life is hard when you have to be an adult. Yes. Yes, people are asking what happened. I explained at the beginning of the video why we had the technical difficulties. And just a reminder, you guys, that when this video is finished, it's going to take hours to process. So if you try to watch it again, if you came on late and you want to watch it from the beginning, you're going to have to wait about 3 to 5 hours for the whole video to process. Otherwise, if you try to click on it, you'll only get the middle of the video or the end of the video, and that's why. Okay, let's see. Catherine, me too. The last 2 weeks, I have been an emotional mess. Yes, I think we're just sensing this big shift that's about to happen. Karen, our experiences this week are so similar. Ah, yes, thanks, Karen. I love you. I love all of you. It's good to know that we're not alone, and a lot of us are in the same boat. It's great to have that support. Angela, you have me bawling. I've been struggling with hopelessness recently too. Well, you're not alone, Angela. Sounds like so many of us are going through this, and again, it's just a distraction from the enemy. He wants us to feel hopeless, which is the opposite of everything the Lord is trying to do right now. He wants us to have that hope. And so everything that brings about the hopelessness is from the adversary. It's not from the Lord. And I think that's what we've all been realizing, right? Okay, Melissa, my experiences have been so similar. Lily, you know I'm with you. I've been through the same things lately. See, it's so good that we share these things, because without sharing these things, we have no idea that so many of us are experiencing the same thing right now, which is a huge witness and really does say a lot about what's going on right now. Let's see, Karen, bullying and betrayal, both things I have felt this week. Yes, absolutely. There's something to that. There's something more to that, I feel. Elaine, on a national level. Karen, wow, you have just brought the lessons I've learned this week full circle. Thank you for filling the blanks for me. I've definitely believed that this week's pain was actually a big blessing. And learning, you've helped me you've helped me see exactly why. Thank you. Yes, I'm living it with you. This is in real time. I'm not looking back on something that happened a long time ago. This is fresh for me, you guys, and I'm still learning. Lily, refiner's fire. Absolutely. Catherine, this is what I needed to hear. Thank you. You are welcome. Robin, I cannot tell you how much I needed to hear this today. Yay! Because the enemy didn't want me to share this. The enemy said, don't share this. You'll probably break down sobbing, and you'll forget everything you want to say, and you'll just come across as someone who's complaining about your problems. But I'm glad I listened to the Spirit and not the enemy. She writes, blindsided, perfect word. Love what you were saying about faith and trust. Beth says, your voice is so lovely and happy. What a strange thing for people to say. Beth, my theory about that is my voice is of a high frequency because I'm of a high frequency, and I've noticed people in a lower frequency, I know it sounds crazy, but people who just have lower vibes, they don't like my voice, and they used to tease me for that when I was a kid. It was the mean kids and the bullies and the people that walked in lower vibrations and had kind of a dim light. Those are the people who don't like my voice. And so at a young age, the Lord helped me to see that as a good thing, that, you know what, there's nothing wrong with operating at a higher pitch, a higher frequency. It's all good, right? Okay, Karen, make me look foolish. Let's see. I think that cut off. He really tried hard this week. I keep hearing the word bully. Oh, me too. All week long. Beth, olive branch and arrows are also signs of Manasseh. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Which is the branch of Israel? The branch of Israel that the Lamanites were, which many of the Native American are remnants of the Lamanites. Let's see, neat. It backs him up. I love that. That's what I love about the comments. That's why I'll probably keep doing these live videos, is because those comments never go away. So it's how I can hear from you guys in the moment of the video. So I love your comments. Wow. Lily, 2021. Thank you. Thanks for that. Half hour is about 21.5 years. Thanks, Beth. Okay. Let's see. Lily, 21.5 years is a half hour of silence in the heavenly realm. Thank you, guys. I thought it was 2021, but I wasn't sure because I talk about the year 2020 so much. Karen, I've heard both 2020 and 2023 for the half hour of silence. That's really interesting. Oh, it's bright. A second before you said four corners of the earth, the exact phrase went through my mind. Crazy. I was thinking of the 12 ox under the baptismal font, the oxen representing Ephraim. Oh my word, now you are talking about the first shall be the last and the last verse, which phrase was going through my head a minute ago. Let's see, Christy. Oh my goodness, the last 2 weeks there have been several leaks in our home, and the water heater literally blew up and other things. And when the leaks and water heater blew up, I felt like the Lord was, oh, I think it cut out. Things blow up, so take care of those leaks for now. Okay, my son's letting me know that he has a student coming soon, so he needs me to wrap this up. But I'm going to get through your comments. Karen, tons of 111 for me too. Tons of 33s too. Me too. There's even a couple other numbers that I haven't been sharing because I just don't want to overwhelm people with all these numbers. Christy, a couple of months ago, I brought up in a group of friends that this very thing that those who are of the 144,000 need to be unified and to fortify as a people. Absolutely, we have got to be one. Amen. And I just felt that. Tiana. I'm saying your name wrong, aren't I? You have shared with me before how to say your name. It's not Tiana, it's Tiana. Tiana, it's Tiana, right? I hope so. Happy belated birthday. Thank you. My second little granddaughter was born on your birthday. That's awesome. I agree. Great things are on the horizon for all of us. We must keep our eternal perspective. Christy, I stopped and pondered and realized that all this heartache from certain people is a form of fear. I never realized that I was fearing these people, so I told myself, I want to experience my life where I see what life is like with no fear. I love that. You guys are awesome. I just feel like that's why we've all found each other through this channel, through our groups. We've all kind of gathered together because we're on the same page, and that's a huge witness of that we're going through a lot of similar experiences right now, which just goes to, again, show and testify of what the Lord is doing right now. So I don't know about you, but I'm choosing to be happy and excited about all of this, and come what may, I'm ready for it, even if I'm not ready for it. Let me rephrase that. Even though I don't see it coming, I'm going to choose to be ready for it when it comes. And the best way to be ready is to always be pressing into the Lord. If you're always pressing into Him and you're always at His side, you're always holding on to Him, come what may, you will be ready for it because you'll have His help. So I think that's the message we can take away today from this. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. You are the best. I always look forward to these videos because I love hearing from you. And you just always say the perfect things that I need to hear and that go with what we're talking about. And I learned so much from you. So thanks for all you guys share and contribute. I hope you go into a wonderful weekend. I hope that you can put everything behind you and just hope is the right word. I hope you have hope. I hope you go into this weekend with hope and restore that hope and that faith. Thank you guys again so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.